Mornings in the human world are pretty nice, aren't they? Alex then spoke up. That coffee is made from a dragon's tongue and its left eyeball. Thank goodness it suits your taste, my lord. At the same time, the voices of the villagers below, filled with all sorts of emotions, rang out continuously. Hurry up. Is anyone out here? Help! I can't. My house. Mom, where are you? Why is this so heavy? Stop complaining and move faster unless you want to be here all night. Just a little more. Let's eat first, then we'll continue. Thanks. Move it out of the way. A man was seen placing a large stone on Rick's back. Then he shouted, urging him on. Rick, hurry up, there's still a whole pile left. Although exhausted, he replied cheerfully, Yes, sir. Dee looked at the scene of labor before him and remarked, They're trying to rebuild this shabby village. He remained seated, resting his chin on his hand, and commented, That good-for-nothing is surprisingly hard-working. The man beside him agreed, Yes. Alex then recounted the events of the previous day. I spoke with him yesterday. Jeek has been doing all sorts of jobs since he was a child. His family was poor, and raising a hero is expensive. Laundry cleaning, plumbing, grave digging? There are few jobs he hasn't done. He's even worked in a tavern. Dee listened in silence with a thoughtful expression, and then he made a decision. All right, it's settled then. Hearing this, Alex looked confused. Seeing that Alex still didn't understand, Dee explained, We've found our hero. Moving around is a hassle. Let's just start with this village. This place is small and dull, but I've grown fond of it. Finally, he narrowed his eyes, a smirk on his face, and declared, This is the beginning of DES. Then Dee spoke up. Well then, shall we get going? Leave the rest to Jeek. After hearing that, Jeek asked in confusion, Go where? With unconcealed excitement, Dee replied, To sell the dragon hides, of course. Aren't dragon hides expensive because they're used to craft equipment? Our goal is to be in the top 2%. Seeing this, Alex gave a slight wry smile and announced, The Hero Bureau took it all last night. Upon hearing that, Dee immediately roared, What? But Alex calmly explained, Because the dragon corpses were too heavy. A normal person couldn't carry them. Dee didn't listen to a word and continued to yell. Damn it, then what did I kill them for? After that, Dee pointed and stammered out a command. Go. Alex, looking bewildered and sweating, asked, Go where again? Dee's eyes flashed red as he trembled and growled, Go! And tear those bastards at the Hero Bureau to shreds. Hearing this, Alex panicked, thinking to himself, Oh, this is bad. He started sweating and stammered, trying to stop him. Wait, master! At the same time, Alex thought to himself, the Hero Bureau is the main headquarters for all heroes, no matter how powerful my lord is. Fighting them alone is, and besides, if they find out the Demon King isn't in the demon realm, we're done for. Then, sweating, he cautiously spoke up. Master, you said you would fight alongside the heroes. Right. Blinded by rage, Dee snapped back. So what? Alex then forced a strained smile and gently explained. In the human world, you have to register with the Hero Bureau to be able to work as a hero. If the Hero Bureau disappears, who will recognize Jeek as a hero? He didn't know if his words had any effect, but Dee's face just went blank. Then he raised a hand to his chin, furrowed his brow, and wondered, Really? At the same time, he silently wondered, Didn't I just prevent the genocide of the demon race? After a moment of thought, Dee made a decision. In that case, let's go to that place. Hearing this, Alex couldn't hide his surprise. Not again. Dee glanced back, sticking out his tongue mischievously, and declared, I'll make up for our losses with the neighboring country. Startled by these words, he blurted out, What, I thought you were going to start DES. Dee immediately cut him off in a loud voice. We'll set out tomorrow. But then he lowered his voice and suggested, Or maybe we should just go back underground. What do you think? The scene changes. The two of them are sitting in a wooden carriage moving across a grassy field. Alex suddenly spoke up, Lord Dee, but was met with only silence. When he heard no reply, he called out again. Still, Dee didn't answer. Alex couldn't take it anymore, turned around, and yelled angrily, D.E. Hearing that, Dee shot up with a shout. Then Alex, with a confused frown, questioned him. You've had your fun sightseeing in the human world. Why don't we go back to the demon realm? The entire demon realm is waiting for your return. Your destiny will arrive in another 25 years. We don't have time to waste. You must quickly learn the Demon King arts and become the ruler of the world. After hearing this, D frowned and nonchalantly said in a gruff voice, "That's none of your business. Just because you all want it doesn't mean I have to do it. The Demon King will appear and attack the human world." Alex's voice grew serious. "That is inevitable. For the 665 Demon Kings before you, both the demon realm and humanity have accepted it as the natural order of things." D, still lying down with his head on his hand, spoke up. "If everything went according to your wishes, what would be the point of having gods? I'm just doing this to see what it's like. Think it over and accept it." "There is no more Demon King." Alex once again turned around and shouted, "Then get married. At least you have to produce the 666th Demon King. Anyone will do." D's face showed clear displeasure as he yelled, "Anyone will do! How dare you say that to me, you perverted demon! Get lost!" Suddenly, Alex's tone became serious as he reminded him, But unless you provide us with a successor, I'm not going anywhere." D'Oth, with a calm expression, curled the corner of his mouth into a slight smile. "All right, you'll see. You can just stay here and be my attendant forever." At the same time, he broke out in a sweat and forced a smile, suggesting, "How about I find a wife for you, my lord? What about a woman who would be a good match for you?" Hearing this, he became annoyed and threatened. "If you mention marriage one more time, I'll destroy the demon world with my own 2 hands." After D'Oth's declaration, a bright silent void fell between the two. Suddenly, he wondered, but is that even possible? Hearing this, he looked confused. "What are you talking about, my lord?" D'Oth blushed shyly, stammering, That princess from before." Alex, still not understanding D'Oth's meaning, asked again, "Which princess?" With an embarrassed expression, he mumbled hesitantly, "You know." He still looked bewildered, slightly raising an eyebrow. "Huh?" "Yes." Suddenly, D'Oth's face turned red as he excitedly shouted, "What I mean is, can humans and demons have children together?" Upon hearing this, Alex immediately replied, "Of course they can." As if receiving the answer he wanted, his face lit up with interest. Then he turned around and with a slight smile explained, "The way humans and demons reproduce is exactly the same. Normally a man's testicles produce semen. When the sperm meets a woman's egg, it forms an embryo. The child is then born after 37 to 42 weeks. D'Oth was seen squinting, drooling slightly as he listened intently. Suddenly, he held up a hand, signaling an end to the sex ed lesson. Hearing this, Alex managed a forced smile. "Ah, yes." At the same time, he narrowed his eyes and said in a low voice, "And, if you wish, my lord, you can also transfer your demon seed into another's body. In that case, just mating will result in pregnancy. Even a deep kiss has up to a 50% chance of pregnancy, a light kiss, 25%. Hearing this, D'Oth couldn't hide his astonishment. He immediately broke out in a sweat, completely startled. He questioned loudly what you can get pregnant from a light kiss. Alex gave a thumbs up and cheerfully added, "Even just holding hands can get someone pregnant." Hearing this, D'Oth knew he'd been tricked and was too exasperated to say anything else. He fell back, wondering in confusion, what is wrong with this body? Then D'Oth looked up and confided, "The demon seed. I almost got myself into real trouble. It feels like this body was born just to continue the bloodline. Damn it. This body's purpose is too clear to kill and produce heirs. The more I learn, the more I hate it." Alex glanced back and said, "That body is a blessing. You are the hope and savior of our demon world. This perfect body is a gift to you from the gods." Hearing this, he looked visibly annoyed and retorted, "A blessing my ass. I'm just one of the demons born once every 1,000 years. I don't like having these expectations placed on me. What about my opinion?" Suddenly, a loud scream echoed out. Startled, the two of them simultaneously looked toward the source of the sound, only to see an incredibly chaotic scene before them. Amidst loud noises, a girl was running frantically. Behind her, a group of mountain bandits with weapons in hand were trying to grab her. One of them yelled, "Hurry up, get her!" With tears streaming down her face, she panted pitifully, begging, "Help me! I'm being chased by bandits!" Seeing this, Alex turned back and suggested, "Look, a beautiful young lady is in danger. We have to help her." But D'Oth looked indifferent and questioned, "Why should we?" Alex didn't explain, simply continuing, "My lord, you don't. Never know, it might turn out to be a good thing." At that, he glanced over and questioned, "You don't find this suspicious?" Hearing that, he couldn't help but look confused and asked, "What do you mean?" Dioth hesitated slightly, that she suddenly ran towards us for help. From the front, Alex nonchalantly said, "The damsel in distress trope is a classic in the fantasy genre. What's the problem?" He still looked suspicious and began to analyze the situation. "No, there's nowhere to live around here, so where did they come from? Even if they were in the forest, it's very far from here." Hearing this, he also began to look suspicious. Dioth continued, "More importantly, do you think they wouldn't have noticed me while they were chasing that girl?" In a low, suspicious voice, Dioth questioned, "Neither you nor I saw them. You set this up, didn't you?" Hearing this, Alex looked confused. "What are you talking about, my lord?" Dioth narrowed his eyes, speculating, "Using that girl to make me produce an heir." He immediately scoffed and defended himself. "What kind of person do you take me for? I am Alex, the greatest strategist in the demon world. I would never come up with something so terrible." Just then Kim Long reached their vehicle and grabbed onto it tightly. With tears streaming down her face, she cried and begged, "Sir Warrior, I'm being chased by bandits. Please save me." With a nonchalant expression, Dioth explained, "I'm not a warrior, I'm the hero's sidekick." Hearing this, Kim Long looked up startled. Then she once again corrected his title and cried loudly, "Sir Hero's sidekick, please save me. The bandits want to capture me." He remained lying there, squinting calmly as he spoke. "But we're a high-level party. We only hunt dragons. We don't do petty jobs like this." Seeing him make excuses, Kim Long smirked and muttered, "Damn it, why are you so picky?" Deuced, having heard that, pointed right in her face. At the same time, he furiously yelled, "Hey, did you just curse at me?" She immediately put on a pitiful expression, looked up and said, "What? No, of course not. I was just praying for you to save me." Just then, a large axe, thrown by who knows who, flew right into the carriage. Deuced watched this happen. He was momentarily stunned, speechless. At the same time, an arrogant voice rang out, catching his attention. "Hey, kid." They looked at Deuced, bursting into gleeful laughter as they mocked him. "Look at his face, it's gone pale. If you don't want to die, take that pile of trash and get out of here. And what's with that outfit? Are you from the future or something?" Deuce paid no attention to their words. Instead, he raised an eyebrow and growled, "My precious luggage, it is damaged. You will burn for eternity." Suddenly, a purple flame erupted from nowhere in the middle of the bandits, startling Kim Long. She saw the large man from earlier being consumed by the flames, rolling on the ground and screaming in agony. "It's so hot, put it out." At that moment, Deuce stated in a low voice, "It can't be put out." Hearing this, the remaining bandits froze in place. Meanwhile, with a small ember still glowing on his fingertip, he wore a cold expression and said in a deep voice, "No matter who you are or what kind of magic you use, this flame, will never be extinguished, and you can't die either. You will simply continue to burn like this, forever, until the end of days when no one is left. Now, who wants to be immolated along with him?" The other bandits couldn't hide their terror and immediately scrambled onto their horses to flee, not forgetting to scream, "We're sorry. Please forgive us. He's a demon. Run." Seeing this, Kim Long broke into a sweat, a somewhat helpless smile on her face. After dealing with them, Deuce looked down at her and said, "All right, that's settled. You can go now." But she didn't leave so easily, speaking up awkwardly. "Wait, sir, my savior, the mountain bandits, they've also taken over our temple." Then, sweating profusely, Kim Long pleaded, "All the priestesses have been taken as slaves, and our sacred relic is gone. Please, I beg you, wipe out the bandits and save our holy temple." At that moment, he raised a hand to pick his nose and bluntly declared, "I don't do petty jobs." Unable to contain her anger, Kim Long gripped the side of the carriage so hard it splintered. Deuce then signaled to move on. "Let's go, Alex." From the front of the carriage, Alex replied, "Yes, master." Suddenly, Kim Long shouted, "Wait!" Hearing this, he looked over in confusion, only to see her drenched in sweat as she quickly made an offer. You just mentioned a dragon, didn't you? Could you be an ally of that loincloth-wearing hero? The temple that the bandits have taken over. It's the temple of the supreme true golden dragon god. If you drive them out, we will reward you with the helm of the golden dragon god." Hearing this, Deuced froze, and then he immediately demanded, "What are you waiting for? Why are you still standing here?" Scene change. All that can be heard are Alex's heavy footsteps and panting. As he dragged himself up another step, he stammered wearily, "Master, With a calm tone, Deuce asked, "What is it?" Looking completely exhausted, Alex asked in confusion, "Couldn't we have just flown here?" Hearing this, he explained nonchalantly, Now, how could we possibly fly? I'm not the Demon King after all." At that, Alex shouted in frustration, "Then at least let me carry you on my back normally. My legs are about to give out." But Deuce declared as if it were the most obvious thing in the world, "Hey, I represent the dignity of the demon realm." After hearing that, he hesitated and asked, "But I thought you said you weren't the Demon King." Suddenly, Alex, drenched in sweat, squinted and spoke up, "But this is really suspicious. She's been running non-stop for 30 minutes. Up a steep mountain like this, with the stamina of a normal human." Deuce, standing on his back, smirked and said, "It doesn't matter who she is." Hearing this, Alex immediately looked behind him. He looked back with a confused expression, and then Deuce narrowed his eyes slightly and declared, "I don't know what she wants, but if she dares to tell even half a lie, I'll skin her alive." Suddenly, Deuce looked up and wondered, "But the true golden dragon god, do dragons worship gods too?" Meanwhile, Kim Long was still running ahead, cheerfully whistling a tune. As he continued to climb, Alex explained, "No, but it's similar to how you are revered in the demon realm. The true golden dragon is the dragon god that stands above all other dragons. For us, the demon clan, the dragon clan, and the human clan, for every living being in this world. There is only one true god. That is the creator god who brought this world into existence." Hearing this, he looked up with a pensive expression. Then Deuce stated his opinion. "If that's the case, then that god is far too partial to humans. Demons and dragons are just side characters." He narrowed his eyes and warned in a stern voice, "Do not doubt the gods. God is the only truth, the perfect love. If we can obtain the lotus flower, where the light of the gods shines, we too shall be favored." Dee's gaze was still fixed on the blue sky above. He also remarked, "What a strange way to show love, huh?" Alex's legs were trembling from the long climb. At last, they reached the mountain's peak. He immediately collapsed, but didn't forget to announce, "We're here." Dee just casually stepped over his head and criticized with disappointment, "You're so weak." His face showed no emotion as he just stared coldly ahead. Then Dee casually walked on and ordered, "On the way down, you'll have to carry me." Hearing this, Alex was helpless and said nothing. Next, the two of them approached the entrance of a cave, and Dee called out loudly for the priestess. Then, he excitedly commanded, "You mountain bandits, where's the true golden dragon's helmet and armor? Hand it over to me now." Alex behind him sensed something was wrong and hastily advised him, "Master, be careful, something's not right." Suddenly, the cave entrance began to move for some reason. Then a loud sound echoed, and finally, the eye of a giant dragon appeared. The golden dragon sitting before them smirked and remarked, "You've had a long journey. It seems your subordinate is smarter than you are." Dee paid no mind to those words and nonchalantly asked, "You look like the bandit who took over this temple. So, where's the helmet and armor?" Hearing this, she commanded in a low voice, "How dare you speak? Do you not understand your current situation? Kneel, before you is the dragon god, the ruler of the dragon clan, and the mother of all dragons, the one and only true golden dragon Diz." After learning the golden dragon's true identity, he showed a look of utter shock. Alex, hearing this from behind, panicked and shouted, The dragon god, the true golden dragon. My lord, we're in big trouble." But he just frowned, slightly lost in thought. Seeing Dee's expression, the golden dragon gloated, "You're surprised because this was beyond the expectations of a lowly creature like you. Aren't you, you foolish mortal? If you're scared, then beg me. I'm not a petty person." At the same time, he raised a hand to his mouth and mumbled, "A dragon god, huh? Interesting." Her pupils glowing, she spoke with arrogance. "So you finally understand. To atone for your sins, I command you." But Dee just brought a hand up to pick his nose with a look of contempt, muttering, "What's all this rambling, dragon law, dragon mother, whatever? I mean, I want some cool titles like that too." Seeing Dee's attitude, the golden dragon couldn't hide her anger. At that moment, he turned and asked with a smirk, "Alex, every time I introduce myself, I feel like something's missing. Lord of Darkness, top 2% extraordinary male. What do you think, Alex?" Alex beside him clapped his hands in delight, agreeing, "As expected of my master. The two of them just casually chatted, ignoring the golden dragon whose head was practically steaming over there. All that could be heard was her furious voice. Hearing that they both turned to look at the golden dragon, who had an incredibly ugly expression sweating as she growled, "Stop your nonsense and beg me to spare your lives. Don't you want to apologize?" Hearing that Dee tilted his head in confusion, wondering, "I didn't do anything to you, did I?" Next she pointed at him and accused with a frown, "Yesterday, you killed a dragon. I am the mother of all dragons. You killed my child." He looked at the golden dragon with a nonchalant expression, then feigned a slight shock, and asked with a smirk, "You're making a big deal. Just because of that?" Suddenly, she planted her foot back to gain momentum. Dashing straight forward, the golden dragon's entire body was instantly in front of Dee. Then she frowned, smirked, and growled, "Just because of that? So you choose death. This is the Golden Jade Realm. Even if you were a Gemio Egoser, you'd stand no chance against me here." Hearing those words, Alex was startled and quickly put his hands on his head, pulling his hood down while warning, "The Golden Jade Realm. Oh no, this is the true Golden Dragon's territory. We're on her home turf. Fighting her here is too dangerous." The Golden Dragon once again burst into gleeful laughter and commanded with a smirk, "Your subordinate knows quite a lot. Now kneel, you number 666. Dee looked at her and questioned in a stern voice, "You know who I am, and you still do this." His eyes flashed red as he threatened smugly, "If you're the true Golden Dragon, then I guess I can just peel your face off and use it. Get ready. I'm about to skin you alive." Hearing that challenge, she couldn't help but glare in fury, growling, "You dare!" The Golden Dragon's rage was about to boil over, but Dee cut her off, saying, "But first, don't you want to apologize for disappointing me?" She looked like she had a million questions, her face screaming, "What the hell are you talking about?" But in contrast, his attitude was completely serious. "To be honest, I didn't come to the surface to cause trouble. I just wanted to quietly visit the village and befriend the heroes. But then your little brat showed up. It was breathing fire and destroying the village. In that situation, what was I supposed to do? It was just self-defense. But when your brat was causing trouble, you didn't even show up for it. And now you lure us here for revenge. What's that about? You tricked us by pretending to be witches and robbers, and then you suddenly declare, 'I am the dragon god.' Apologize to me first. Did you think I would kneel down and say, 'Oh dear God, oh great dragon god, please forgive us this one time'? Oi. You think just because you're the dragon god, you can do whatever you want? Are all dragons like this?" Diote's non-stop, no-cooldown rebuttals were enough to make the Golden Dragon question her very existence. "The one with the least presence is." Alex chimed in with his own point of view. "He's right. It's arrogant to think you're always right just because you have power. When people fight back against you, you just call them wrong. What is that supposed to mean? Besides, it was the dragons who forgot the peace treaty with humanity and broke it first. You should be the one asking for forgiveness." His subordinate's words boosted his confidence by 200%. "All right then, Divine Dragon, are you going to apologize to the people of Joshua Village for what your children did or not?" The Golden Dragon jumped like a cat whose tail had been stepped on, and Diote pressed his advantage. "Look at that. It's true what they say, a bad child is the mother's fault." She finally tried to fight back, but it was futile. "I'm not their birth mother." Alex continued his moral lecture to her. "Now you're just avoiding responsibility. Why won't you take responsibility and just keep blaming us?" The two of them attacked from both sides, not giving the Golden Dragon a chance to explain. "Have you no shame? Just because a child misbehaves doesn't mean it's the parent's fault. You people know nothing about your own children. You don't care about them, but the moment they cause trouble, you say, 'Oh, but they're so well behaved at home.' That's how other parents get blamed. This isn't something you can just ignore. As the representative of all dragons, you must apologize for breaking the peace treaty. For one rotten dragon, you have to take responsibility and step down." She never imagined that their long, preachy sermon, like a Chanting Sutra, could make her ears bleed. After listening to their lecture, the Golden Dragon was being led around more easily than a cow. It's not that serious, is it? Why do I feel like I am the one who did something wrong?" Diote didn't hesitate to correct her. "That's right, you did do something wrong. So, are you going to let us out of here, or what?" She hurriedly spoke up to stop him. Wait, you've already come all this way. Could you please listen to a request of mine? But he stood his ground firmly. Apologize first if you don't want a fine. An apology won't kill you, you know. The golden dragon wrestled with herself for a moment before deciding. Wait, I apologize. Right after a large hand patted her head like a reward. However, Diot's words were still incredibly punchable. I don't really like it when people put on airs like this, but since you've apologized, I'll accept it. The golden dragon had to use every ounce of her strength to hold back her anger. It's a little weird, but I'll overlook it, because I'm just that generous. After he had his fun teasing her, he finally got to the main point. So, what do you want, divine dragon? She immediately returned to a serious state to answer. To put it simply, dragon hunting. He paused for a moment, as if gathering his thoughts. So, the great golden dragon, the divine dragon, the law itself, the mother, is asking me, the demon king, to hunt her own children. She could only answer cautiously with a soft, yes. She never expected that after all her patience, she would just get a verbal beatdown from Diot. Do you think I'm an idiot? This is obviously a trap. You want me to believe that nonsense. You've lost your mind, you stupid dragon. In her anguish, she repeatedly denied it. That's not it. After a moment, Alex helped clear things up for her. Is it because of those purple parasites? They're attached to the dragon's bodies like some kind of parasite. Maybe that's what's driving them mad. The golden dragon immediately regained her confidence to strengthen her argument. That's right, something is very wrong. The hate-liners who reject peace have made a pact with humans. Dot, a true Loki, was confused by the current situation. Hate-liner, she explained patiently. That's right. The dragon from yesterday was also one of the hate-liners' victims. She paused, surprised at how slow on the uptake he was. But in the end, she swallowed her pride to educate him. The hate-liners are a group who have been hurt by humans like losing a wife or child to them, although such things are unavoidable. They are blinded by their rage. They attack villages by infecting the young ones who live in peace with a strange and powerful magic, the likes of which I have never seen before. In her heart, she understood their intention to start another war between humans and dragons. The golden dragon became more resolute. So you must capture them first, so that no more innocent children have to die miserably as tools of war. Diot suddenly broke into a sly, meaningful smile. I understand what you're saying now. You call it hunting. But the problem is, the hate-liners are manipulating peace-loving dragons, driving them mad and making them recklessly attack humans. And you want me to capture them before they're killed by humans. Is that right? The golden dragon slowly confirmed, yes. However, he didn't play his cards as expected. So, what are you going to give me in return? There has to be a fee for my services, right? She was immediately on high alert. What do you want? Very quickly, Diot stated his prepared demand. 5 dragon scales. Since ancient times, there have been weapons made from dragons. Every time I capture one of them, I'll take 5 dragon scales from it. How does that sound? Also, how about some weapons and armor worth over 1,000 gold refined by dragon's breath? The golden dragon, sweating bullets, tried to turn the tables. What, you're a swindler, aren't you? Oh, it is. However, he quickly came to a conclusion, not beating around the bush. Think what you will. A contract detailing the terms appeared instantly with a snap of his fingers. The price to be paid. If you violate the contract, you will become D's slave. Just state your name and the contract will be formed. This is a deal with the devil. You'd best not take it lightly, because you're betting your very soul on this. I know that. The golden dragon was already annoyed by his preachy attitude. Damn it, Dragon King. The golden dragon cursed. Dirth gave a smug, unconcealed smile. The contract is signed. Open the gate. I'll take care of it in a few days. Just then she called out to the devil. Mahul. Puzzled, he turned his head and saw her hesitating, wanting to say something. Please, capture them alive. Don't cause any more deaths. This time, his attitude was softer than before. Yes, my client. After successfully leaving the golden dragon's territory, Dirth was as nonchalant as ever, even calmly assessing the situation like an outsider. Things didn't go as planned, did they? Alex agreed without a second thought. That's right. Suddenly he remembered something. Oh, right. He immediately rushed back to the dark cave. D poured all his energy into a dragon god's roar, but before him was only a moss-covered ruin. Alex couldn't help but be confused. "What are you doing, my lord?" He couldn't suppress his belated rage. "Damn it! She still hasn't given me the golden dragon greaves." He added another detail. "We're not dragons, so we can't go back to the golden dragon realm anymore." He was both gutted and determined to settle the score. "That dragon tricked me again. One day, I'll definitely rip that face of yours off." Dirth's bizarre idea stunned Alex. An arms dealer. He saw nothing wrong with it and was very confident. That's right. His self-control was on the verge of shattering. Why would you sell weapons? Did you abandon all of us and come to the human world just to sell us some weapons? Jeek helplessly tried to pull Alex back to his senses right after. Dirth's defiance flared up just as strongly. "Hey, when humans hunt dragon hatchlings and make weapons out of them, do you feel anything then, huh? This is just business." "You brainless idiot. These exclusive dragon scales are the weapons the golden dragon gave me. Oh man, how much can I make from this?" "I knew it. Ah, no. Actually, I was right about the first 2%. She said that if I just capture the dragons, she'll give me a ton of weapons. Isn't that basically getting them for free? A war breaks out every 100 years, so arms dealing is the most profitable business. It can never fail, right? No, how can there be a war without demons?" Alex desperately tried to pull him away from the temptation. "Please think this through, my lord." Reek, however, couldn't understand their worldview at all. Capturing dragons is considered for free. Suddenly, Dirth changed the subject in a flash. "Besides, you fool, do you still not know who I am? Selling weapons is just to raise capital for my real plan. I don't intend to be a merchant for the rest of my life. Have you forgotten? One who watches from the shadows and another who possesses all the weapons in this world. Just as I thought. So that's what this is about." But Alex was on a completely different wavelength. "You haven't forgotten about hell." However, Dirth took full advantage of this to order him around. "Well then, hurry up and take that useless thing to find a shop that'll be useful to us. Get going." He immediately acted with great enthusiasm. "Yes, my lord." Only a few seconds passed, and he was left alone in his own world. Why do I have to keep up this merchant act, huh? The ultimate goal is, of course, to build a building. To become the owner of the best building in this fantasy world. I'm glad you're such an idiot, Alex. And so, for now, Dirth was just sitting back and relaxing. He enjoyed the vast bed with the air of a domineering CEO while also directly absorbing vitamin E from the outdoors. A single glance was enough to tell this was the life. Truly the high life. However, in his mind, he was recalling the scene of the giant cross exploding, then his reunion with Jeek. "I'm sorry, my rank is only F. I'm just a worthless piece of trash." Next was the breathtakingly dramatic battle scene, and finally the Golden Dragon's most recent request, but you must capture them alive to avoid bloodshed. Furthermore, Dirth's gaze suddenly became deep and meaningful. For now, he seemed completely satisfied with this life. Now that I've created a stable source of income and saved that stupid hero, I guess I'm done. I can just sit back and get rich. But what is this empty feeling? Blood and slaughter. What if I killed all the people in this town? Would that make me feel better? A deadly voice seems to echo in his ear. Kill them all. Destroy the world. Make humanity your slaves. Turn the human world into a living hell. Then you will end this cycle of death and rebirth. Underground, where the sun no longer shines every 100 years that pass. Dee heard all the demonic whispers but showed no reaction. He just closed his eyes as if trying to find peace. Go to sleep and shut your mouth. As the sun set on a dreamy magical sky, they finally arrived at their destination. Here it is, a new weapon shop. Its previous owner died during the dragon invasion, and this shop was bought for a low price. Dee, looking weary, gave a half-hearted compliment. "Not bad, you found it fast. I haven't even had a chance to sleep yet." Alex, on the other hand, had been full of energy from the start. "Once I heard about the real plan, I was too excited to sit still." He could only force a smile, hiding his true intentions. Right. Let's do our best for the real plan, shall we?" He had an idea just from looking around. If we have Deke work on it, this place could turn into a pretty good shop. Dee was quite surprised by this possibility. Deke can do renovations. The other man slowly confirmed. That's right. He said he used to be a carpenter. He couldn't help but be a little impressed. That's great. He's so young, but he's really amazing. But isn't bloodline rank something passed down from generation to generation? I mean, even if a pureblood has a child, can that child still be an F rank? Alex patiently explained to him, yes, that's right. And conversely, there are also examples of the child of an F-rank hero and a saint becoming the ultimate victor. D came to a conclusion, so it's all random. And he agreed with this. Yes. Then he skillfully steered the conversation. So, is there any hope for the worthless? Just because their family is all F-rank, should the child also be labeled as F-rank? But even someone as knowledgeable as him couldn't give a straight answer. That's rather ambiguous, although skills aren't inherited, wealth is. A family that regularly produces high-ranking warriors or saints will have wealth like royalty. With that money, they can raise their child's hero rank or bloodline rank in various ways. D easily summarized his complicated theory. So in other words, even if a child is F rank, they can still become successful. Is that right? The other man confirmed again. Yes, but since Deke himself said he's F rank, he must have already been ranked as a hero. Suddenly, he changed the subject without warning. Do you have any idea what I'm thinking right now? Alex answered honestly, no sir. D seemed to have been waiting for this chance to vent at him. You pathetic humans using money to decide your own hero ranks. Why do demons keep losing to people like you? Huh? Why you damn bastards? His immense frustration could only be met with 3 words. I am sorry. After tormenting him to his heart's content, he finally showed some mercy. All right, enough. The demon world doesn't matter anymore anyway. Hey, where did our hero go? Thinking of the currently bustling business scene, Alex hesitated slightly. Ah, well. Just as D arrived, he was warmly greeted by Deke. Master, you're awake. He asked, a little curious. What's this? Why are you suddenly selling noodles? He answered honestly with a very mundane reason. I had some free time at night, so I wanted to give it a try. Even so, the income is pretty good. Before he could say anything more, he plopped down and quickly blended in with the passers-by. Well then, give me a bowl. Deke was overjoyed. Yes, master. Every step of his process was incredibly skillful without a single wasted motion. In just a few minutes, he produced a very eye-catching final product. Here you are, sir. D had been drooling in anticipation for a while. So this is ramen, huh? He carefully picked up the soft noodles and slurped them down deliciously in one go. The moment the food went down his throat and settled in his stomach, he instinctively blurted out a heartfelt compliment without a second thought. So good, super delicious. On the side, Alex was also burying his face in his bowl, completely absorbed. What's up? I'll try some too. The moment he tasted the first bite, his expression froze. Then his emotions burst forth as if he'd discovered a new continent. This is amazing, Deke. D seriously offered this sincere advice. Give up on being a hero. You should switch to this line of work. He shyly scratched his head. I'll just take that as a compliment from you both. The clear sound of slurping only made his smile brighter. Deke suddenly changed the subject, confusing him. Master, thank you so much. It's thanks to you that I was able to buy a uniform. My younger brother is at the warrior school, and he and his friend are the only 2 without uniforms. That's why I've always been so frustrated. They just act like they don't care. When you gave them money, they were overjoyed. D Earth, on the other hand, doesn't really pay attention to these things. The warrior school, he enthusiastically shared his plan. Yes, it might sound arrogant, but I'm sending both of them to a private elementary school for warriors. I may not be strong, but I'm confident those 2 can become true warriors. So I'm going to pour all my money into their future. Right at that moment, a shocked voice echoed through the room. What is this? There's a fly in my noodles. Damn it. I didn't even want to eat at this dump in the first place. But I was starving, so I settled for this place. And now look at this. The woman beside him also made her disgust clear. I told you I didn't want to eat in a filthy place like this. Zeke tried to remain calm and handle the situation. I'm sorry, sir, but there aren't any flies around here. In return, he received a harsh and completely unreasonable reaction. Even D Earth had to pause his delicious meal to listen in on the drama. That guy was acting so high and mighty like nobody else mattered. What's that? Are you calling me a liar, you bastard? Do you have any idea who my father is? All I have to do is say one word, and this restaurant will be shut down immediately. Suddenly, the berating voice fell silent. Then the man deliberately escalated the drama. Wait a minute. Isn't this guy from the Holy Bichur family? It was a masterfully coordinated performance. You mean that powerful, noble family? I knew it. There are still people from the Holy Bichur family around. The surrounding customers immediately perked up their ears to listen in. Oh my God, the Holy Bichur family. What's going on? Since when did a hero start working as a cook? Zeke stood his ground. It's not Bichur, it's Betray. But the deceitful couple was just looking for an excuse to cause trouble. I knew it. The pathetic Bichur family. Their father came to my house begging for a job, and now you, his worthless son, are out here selling this garbage on the street. How disgusting. Like father, like son. And you call yourself a hero, a noodle-selling hero. Finally, D-Earth couldn't stand their arrogant act any longer. He immediately stepped in for Zeke, taunting them. I think I hear a fly buzzing around here somewhere. Don't you? He quickly tried to stop what was about to happen. Sir D-Earth. As expected, the man became even more aggressive. Did you just call me a fly? You want me to rip your head off? He didn't bother wasting his breath or time arguing with this kind of person. His hand rose into the air, much to their confusion. Well then, I guess I'll just kill a few flies. The moment D-Earth clenched his fist, the man's fate was sealed. Instantly, his body twisted into a grotesque shape, so deformed it was an insult to the eyes. The other woman's face turned ashen as her fear hit its absolute limit. She immediately hiked up her dress and fled. Help me! However, her speed was no match for the black hole slowly opening in D-Earth's hand. One trying to escape, and her fate was even more deformed than his. He didn't hesitate to crush the tiny struggling life in his grasp. Her body of flesh and bone instantly disintegrated, scattering to the wind. Those who don't respect the heroes who risk their lives to fight for them don't deserve to live in this world. From a corner, Alex silently observed the Earth. After dropping such a mind-blowing bombshell, he just calmly went back to normal. Let's eat. Zeke, stunned, could only react on instinct. Yes. Just then, a piece of paper floated through the air and landed softly on his arm. The message was clear. A dragon has appeared at Lee Castle. You must depart immediately. Rangum de Earth immediately put down his chopsticks, his pleasant meal interrupted. He quickly laid out his plan. Hey, weakling, close up the shop. Our first mission from a VIP client has arrived. Time to go make some money. Zeke didn't understand what was going on, but he obeyed quickly. Ah, yes, sir. High in the sky, the moon was shining, and down below their horse and carriage hurried along. The three of them sat inside, moving at a frantic pace. Alex glanced over and saw Zeke trembling. He asked gently, "Are you scared?" Zeke scratched his head in embarrassment. Yeah, I guess so. But his words were accompanied by an eager smile. I never thought someone like me would be fighting orcs or goblins, let alone a dragon. Before I met you and Sir D-Earth, I wouldn't have dared to dream that one day I'd get to fight orcs, goblins, and even a dragon. Then Zeke fell silent for a moment. He turned to look at the person behind him and hesitated when he saw the sight of him drooling, casually picking his nose. You probably won't believe me if I say this, but now whenever I look at Lord D-Earth, Reek's smile becomes more and more awkward. I always feel like he exudes a kind of confidence, as if to say, it's just a dragon. What's there to worry about? If it were me, I'd be so scared I'd freeze on the spot. Alex smiled with satisfaction. It's good that you're scared. His voice became gentle. Reek, I don't know what you're thinking, but Lord D-Earth has already appointed you as the hero, even if not all the time. You don't feel like a hero. But the more Alex spoke, the redder his cheeks became. You are definitely the leader of this adventure, so be confident. Jeek was so happy he stammered, yes. He even encouraged him. What kind of leader speaks so weakly? Be strong. Jeek obediently replied, yes. Then Alex pulled the cart and sped off. All right. We're almost at Leia Castle. Hold on tight. His voice gradually faded away. Yes. The carriage wheels spun relentlessly as Jeek tried to hang on, shouting. Suddenly, his eyes flew wide open in terror at what appeared before him. So big. A giant dragon was wrapping its tentacles tightly around the entire castle. It seemed to have something slimy clinging to its mouth, making the dragon roar madly. Jeek couldn't help but be horrified as he witnessed the state of that castle. Did the dragon destroy it? What about the people inside? But below was a treacherous, rocky road. Suddenly, D-Earth, who was behind them, pointed to the side. "Calm down. They've all gathered over there." Alex also noticed it. For a castle that big, there must be a few G-rank heroes. They probably helped the people inside. All escape. His heart suddenly felt light. Well, that's a relief. From behind, he shouted loudly, "The stage is set, and it looks like the audience has arrived in full force. It's showtime, get ready." Worthless Reek. Sweating profusely, Reek was a little nervous. Yes. The people on this side were looking at the castle being devoured by the dragon. They couldn't stop screaming in fear. Where did that red dragon come from? Is this the end of the world? Get warm blankets for the injured. So cold. I feel like I'm going to freeze to death. Lord, please help us. Damn it. Can you stop praying? A fat guy with tears and snot all over his face clasped his hands and pleaded, "Please make this blizzard stop. Lord, have you abandoned us?" Someone else looked up at the glowing orb on the mountaintop. "Even the king seems to have left us to fend for ourselves, so what makes you think the gods won't abandon us?" But the fat guy continued to pray earnestly. "Oh, Lord, Bahoy." A priest's hand rested on the orb. Inside the orb, the fat king was sweating all over, constantly complaining. "So hot. It's like a sauna in here." He kept blaming them. Where are all those heroes who went to find the savior for help? "We need to get back to the castle." A servant spoke up timidly. "There's a high chance they were killed by that dragon, sir. I can't get in touch with any of them." Immediately, the fat king screamed for his life. "What, then go do something yourself. If this keeps up, I'm going to die from the heat." Suddenly, a voice caught his attention. "Get out of the way." Jeek swung his broom, making a cool entrance. The king, stunned, shouted, "A hero!" As he screamed, Jeek's eyes shone with a mysterious glint. "Here I come." The carriage flew over the fat king's head. He no longer cared about his image. With that ugly face of his, he looked at the hero. The fat king's jaw dropped in shock. "For real, damn it, you're just some pervert in his underwear holding a broom." "They're running away. Get them." Meanwhile, Jeek was crying his eyes out because of his ridiculous outfit. "This is so embarrassing." Then he roared his command. "It's cold. Cast the spell again quickly." The servant immediately knelt. "Yes, your majesty." The fat king wouldn't stop cursing. "How dare you jump over my head? I hope that dragon eats you." In contrast, the people outside were so cold they had to huddle together for warmth. Suddenly, a little boy pointed to the sky. "Mom, look." She also looked up. "What is it, sweetie?" The boy looked at the speeding carriage and couldn't help but wonder, is that guy really going to fight a dragon in just his underwear, Mom? Everyone was speechless with surprise. Looking at Reek's appearance, someone spoke up doubtfully. "Are you kidding me? Don't tell me he's the hero who's going to defeat the dragon and save us all." His cool entrance didn't even last a moment before he crouched down and shivered. So cold. So embarrassing. It's embarrassing and cold. Alex encouraged him from the side. "You're doing great." On the way, Reek saw countless people frozen solid. The carriage just kept speeding along the road. So many people couldn't escape in time. They all froze to death. Suddenly, he looked up towards the light. It turned out to be the dragon up ahead getting bigger and bigger, which surprised Reek. "We're almost there." Only now did D-Earth speak. "Alex, worthless one, get ready." He was still lying there leisurely as he gave the order. "The plan is the same as before. You worthless face will stand where everyone can see you. You, Alex, will grab the lizard. Catch that thing and drop it right in front of that worthless Jeek. Look at his snot-covered face, and then you piece of trash, will finish it off with a single sweep." "Got it." He blushed and thought to himself, I knew this was the plan. But he didn't forget to add a warning. "Especially you, Alex. Don't mess around like last time and make me step in." He chuckled. "Rest assured, my lord." Then Alex pointed forward, and a dark rift began to appear. He took a step forward. Alex stood atop the carriage, his eyes gleaming. Last time, this humble servant struggled a bit. It was because I wasn't paying attention to their condition, but I won't make the same mistake again. Suddenly, D-Eth called out, catching his attention. "Alex!" His eyes were glowing red. "Don't kill it. Capture it alive for me." He grinned, excited. Yes, sir. In that case, I'll just beat it half to death. Then Alex turned to the person cowering next to him, Jeek. He offered a friendly reminder. That dragon is huge, so things are about to get a little wild. Make sure you stand firm and stay put, you hear? He couldn't bring himself to speak, only thinking, I know. With that, Alex leapt into the dark rift. Well then, see ya. He left a bewildered Jeek shouting after him in a panic. Wait, Sir Alex. Then D-Eth gave an order. Stop the carriage. Useless trash. He waved his hand dismissively and sprawled out lazily. I'm going to take a nap here. Go deal with that dragon. Hurry up. He could only obey. Yes, sir. Suddenly, Jeek remembered something. But Sir D.E. He covered his crotch, trembling. Could you come with me, sir? I feel like I'm about to wet myself. Deep down, Jeek was still terrified. I knew it. I knew I'd be scared to death when I had to face it. The dragon's hideous eyes darted around restlessly until a voice drew all of their attention. Hey! Alex appeared from the dark rift above the dragon's head. He dove straight down. Seeing him, one of the eyes instantly sprouted countless sharp spikes. They shot out like tentacles reaching for Alex, but he dodged them easily with a simple tilt of his body. Then Alex counterattacked. Everywhere he flew, he left a blinding trail of light. He delivered a final powerful blow, causing the dragon to collapse. Jeek witnessed it all. He wanted to scream out, amazing! A moment later, the scene blurred in his eyes. He couldn't see anything through all the smoke. Has it started? He scrambled around searching. I need to find a spot where Sir Alex can see me easily. Suddenly, D-Eth cursed. Useless trash. Meanwhile, Jeek was struggling to lift his shield. But D-Eth had to remind him, don't you always carry that shield with you? Something about how a hero should at least have a shield. Isn't that a memento from your father? He shot a bolt of magic into the shield. Also this. Jeek stared in amazement, unable to look away. D-Eth instructed loudly, this is a protective magic barrier. It can withstand a dragon's breath. He was so happy he started to cry. Thank you, Sai. But before he could finish, D-Eth had already rolled over and fallen asleep. And so Jeeki jumped out of the carriage and left on his own. Sleep well, Sir D-Eth. Each of his steps carried great hope. I'll definitely do well this time. I need to get to a good spot quickly so Sir Alex doesn't have to wait. Jeek looked around. An easy-to-see place. Somewhere high and central. Suddenly, his eyes landed on a large, tall block of ice nearby. There! Jeek hurried toward it. I'll get there in no time. As if to meet everyone's expectations, he took 3 steps and fell flat on his face. At the same time, Alex was still fighting fiercely with the dragon. Its wounded eyes growled endlessly, spewing a purple fluid. Suddenly, he placed his foot on one of the wounds. Then Alex stomped down hard, making the fluid gush out like rain. His face was cold and emotionless. Unexpectedly, the largest eye flew open and flashed. The dragon's mouth opened wide. It chomped down on Alex's arm, tearing it off. Then raising the 2 claws on its wings, the dragon shot up into the sky, leaving behind a cloud of dust. From within the dust, an arm covered in sharp claws shot out. It extended a great length and punched the dragon's beak. Mysterious runes had appeared all over Alex's face. He continued his assault, launching himself at it with one leg. Alex landed a kick on the dragon. He then raised his sharp-clawed hand and swiped viciously. A barrage of attacks followed, bringing the dragon down. Finally, he landed on the ground next to the growling beast. Alex walked towards it coldly. You recover quickly. Is it because of your size? It seemed the dragon knew its fate as it began to wail. Alex raised his hand high. This ends here. Down below, Jeek watched and couldn't help but marvel. That's amazing. He struggled to climb the block of ice step by step. Staying here is a little scary. Sir Alex is handling the dragon all by himself. By now, snot was running uncontrollably from Jeek's nose. And that's supposed to be a D-rank hunter. The villagers behind him started clamoring, shouting with joy. A hero has saved us. What is he winning? What a freak! Why is he dressed like that? We're saved. We're saved, move I can't see. Go Hero, the Lord has answered our prayers. The villagers cheered endlessly for Sir Hero. In contrast, the king was biting his nails in fear. Is that the hero? Jeek looked back astonished. Everyone was cheering for him. The sound of their cheers made him feel more resolute. I can do this. Just keep moving forward like that. Jeek's legs trembled as he watched the battle unfold. He He's nothing like me. I'm just standing here shaking. That's a true hero. I'm so jealous. He straightened his back, making a silent resolve. I want to be a hero like him too. One who helps people and gives them hope. A true hero. Suddenly, a faint voice caught Jeek's attention. Please, save me. He immediately looked towards the block of ice. Looking closer, he saw someone was still alive, crying and begging. Please save me. Sir Hero is still up there. The dragon swung its tentacles, fighting back fiercely. It flung Alex far away with one swipe. Hearing the loud noise, Jeek turned back to look worried. Meanwhile, he continued to shatter the layer of ice with his bare hands. Unfortunately, that filthy purple gunk clung to Alex's hand. The dragon stomped one foot down hard on the ice, its roar echoing everywhere. Suddenly, the dragon began to emit some kind of speech. Hearing this, Alex began to understand. So, you can regenerate infinitely as long as the host isn't dead. Huh? Is it a parasite? He was quiet for a moment. You're basically a zombie dragon. The dragon stepped onto a rock. It had discovered Jeek's group. Seemingly out of control, the dragon roared, opening its mouth wide to reveal its sharp teeth. Alex stared without blinking. So they can multiply endlessly unless they're removed from the host. It really is a controlled zombie dragon. It thrashed about madly. A fire lit up in his eyes. If I can't kill it, then there's only one other way. I just have to chop off all its limbs. The dragon stomped one foot on the stone slab and then charged towards Alex. He was already in position, ready to fight. Alex's eyes flashed. 100 hands. Countless tentacles suddenly appeared behind him. They shot out in unison like arrows. Then the tentacles merged into a single massive arm. It clenched decisively into a tight fist and shot straight towards the dragon. It punched directly into the purple gunk on the dragon's face. The arm then retracted, and countless other arms continued the assault. 100 demon hands hellhammer. Another massive arm grabbed the dragon's mouth tightly. It struggled, trying to break free. Then the dragon's mouth emitted a blinding light, but its intention didn't escape Alex's notice. The dragon spewed a stream of cold air straight at him. The shockwave was so intense it knocked Jeek over, sending him tumbling across the ground. Jeek finally got to his feet, trying to catch his breath. Meanwhile, the quick-thinking Alex had used the arms to shield himself. He looked furious, the fire in his eyes flaring up again. Let's end this here. Alex's arm squeezed the dragon's neck tightly, causing it to screech in that strange language. He glared upwards. 100 demon hands trinity. 3 giant arms born from one appeared on Alex's back. One hand grabbed the right wing, the other grabbed the left wing. The 2 outstretched arms restrained the dragon, while the third remained on its neck, squeezing tightly. Then Alex's eyes flashed. Reverse flow strike. And he slammed the dragon to the ground. Alex pulled one hand back, gathering momentum. Then a barrage of arms rushed in, pummeling it relentlessly. Great demon's descent, 10,000 fists. The surrounding earth and rock were smashed to pieces as the people watched on in awe. Jeek was also stunned watching the battle. Suddenly, he turned around, remembering the person who had cried for help. This isn't the time to just stand here watching. Jeek immediately rushed towards them. I have to save them quickly. They were crying out for help. He rushed over. Don't worry, I'll get you 2 out of there right now. Jeek used his bare hands to break the ice. So cold. After a while, he was exhausted and panting. Jeek looked over at the man beside her, his eyes wide open. He was already dead. While trying to save the woman, he suddenly heard a baby crying. The woman begged through her tears. The child. Please save the child. Jeek used the handle of his broom to smash hard against the ice. He kept smashing with all his might. Just hang on a little longer. I'll get you out right away. But inside, Jeek felt helpless. Damn it. I had to leave the father behind to save the mother and child. He didn't stop for a moment. Sir Alex will be here soon. I need to hurry, save them, and get back. Suddenly, a sharp spike on the dragon's back began to glow. The villagers seemed all too familiar with that light. The one-eyed man screamed, Get away, Sir Hero! That's the light that destroyed our castle! Suddenly, the light began to spread, expanding rapidly from the dragon's back. The light rushed towards where Jeek was standing. Luckily, he quickly raised his shield to block it, but the force was so great that it shattered. The light then advanced toward the villagers. They screamed endlessly in pain. Even the portly king couldn't bear it, yelling, So cold. The sharp spike on the dragon's back had grown much larger than before. But surprisingly, just like last time, Alex was completely unharmed. He no longer looked human at all. It's a bit hard to maintain this skin I've been saving for the battle 25 years from now. How annoying! At that moment, Jeek was slowly coming to. His hand twitched as his eyes fluttered open. I'm still alive. Is it because of Sir Dios's shield magic? So cold. Suddenly, the sound of crying snapped Jeek to his senses. The child. He lifted his head and looked in that direction. Jeek's gaze fell upon the source of the crying, where he saw a dead mother, still clutching her child. The child was still alive. He tried to crawl forward. Damn it. Ma'am, hang on, I'm coming. Suddenly, Jeek collapsed onto the snow. He glanced behind him, only to be met with a brutal reality. One of his arms and a leg had frozen solid and shattered. As for the dragon, its sharp spines began to glow once more. A panicked citizen stammered, It's coming back. Another person looked towards Jeek. Sir Hero, run. He slammed his hand red and swollen from the cold into the snow. I have to save the child. Jeek tried to lift his broken leg. I'm a hero, even if I'm a worthless one. Seeing this, the townspeople screamed in unison, Sir Hero, look out, Sir Hero! He dragged himself painfully step by step towards the child. Maybe I can't save everyone, like the other heroes, but I will save you. Elsewhere, Alex seemed completely unharmed. Don't you realize that's useless against me? Then he added a taunt. That's why you lot are always being used by humans. You foolish lizard. Enraged, the dragon launched a second attack. Fortunately, Jeek had managed to grab the child. A massive surge of power erupted, launching him into the sky. Then Jeek fell and was buried in the snow. Suddenly, a fur coat was draped over him. D-Ot had appeared, standing before him. I really don't understand. He sat down, resting his chin on his hand, curious. How could they possibly think they could defeat me when they're this weak? A fire burned in D-Ot's eyes. They're like candles in the wind extinguished with a single puff, and yet they sacrifice themselves to save others. Did we really lose to them 66,500 years ago? This human race, I can't understand them. But Jeek didn't forget to placate him. Sir D-Ot, I'm sorry I didn't get there in time. I'll do better next time. He could only bow his head deeply and continue. Some time later, a blinding light shone on Jeek, forcing his eyes open. But he was so exhausted he was about to close them and go back to sleep when he suddenly remembered something unfinished and shot up. That dragon. What happened to that dragon? Sir D-Ot returned to that familiar place. Jeek stared blankly at the room with its roof torn off. Is this Sir D-Ot's room? Only then did he scratch his head, trying to remember. Wait a minute. How did I end up here? Did I pass out? Jeek raised his hands and received another shock. They had been completely reattached. He kicked his leg out and noticed it had similar marks. Jeek was even more astonished. And here I thought I was completely crippled. Suddenly, D-Ot's voice echoed from somewhere, catching his attention. This divine dragon stuff is pretty good. This stuff isn't as bad as I thought, huh? Another person replied, yes, I suppose so. Then, Jeek walked over to a hole in the wall and looked down. Sir D-Ot was standing next to a pile of spoils. He looked up cheerfully. Ah, you're awake? Flustered, he pointed from one thing to another. Yes, but how is my body? Before we talk about that, the dragon. No. What about the child? Jeek felt helpless with himself. He had so many curious questions he wanted to ask. D-Ot, still smiling, announced, both the dragon and the child have been taken care of, so you don't need to worry. If you're done resting, then get down here and clean this mess up. We still have to open the shop after all, don't we? Useless. In that moment, Jeek was stunned, but seeing his master's face, he felt somewhat reassured. It was as if all the worries in his heart had vanished. Jeek replied cheerfully, yes, master. From then on, they accepted missions from the divine dragon. He once again donned his hero suit, and this time the three of them charged towards another dragon, while the citizens scattered in chaos, screaming, run, save me. D-Ot pointed at Jeek and chided useless before ordering attack. Jeek also roared aggressively, Sir Alex, I'm ready. And with that, he leaped from a portal landing on top of the dragon. Then with a single hand, he sent it to the afterlife. Every time they successfully killed a dragon, someone would come and take it away, but they never knew how it was taken. And so, Jeek called out loudly in the ruined room. Master D-Ot appeared, picking his nose for a moment, still dazed, completely unaware of a sword flying past him. Suddenly, a shower of spoils fell from the sky in front of him. A sleepy Diot calmly watched them fall, and then the next morning a mountain of weapons would appear right in front of their house. He gave a thumbs up to boost their morale, and just like that they would defeat one monster, and then fight the next. It was the same script as always for Jeek. Sir Alex, and he would appear leaping high into the air. A beam of power shot straight into the sky. Alex delivered a spectacular finishing blow, sending the monster on its way. And so they continued to collect rewards and set off in their familiar carriage. Deus and Alex wore sunglasses and used a flash bomb to deal with another pitch-black dragon. And, again, they collected their spoils. The carriage continued on without stopping. The trio's next destination was the location of a restrained flying dragon. In the blink of an eye, the three of them finished the job and received a ton of loot. Later, as the weary sun began to set, ending a long day, they were at a roadside noodle shop. People were pouring in, eating and drinking comfortably. Alex and Deus were no different, their cheeks stuffed with noodles puffed up like two steamed buns. Deke happily enjoyed this rare moment of peace. Suddenly, a magical thread carrying a piece of paper appeared before Deus. The paper said that a divine dragon had just appeared at Onai Castle, and so he raised his hand and pointed to the sky. Even while his mouth was still stuffed with food, the carriage carrying the three of them tirelessly rolled on. They arrived at a place where a skeletal dragon was flying around. Deke raised his sword, ready to fight. Deus, on the other hand, was sleeping soundly. Suddenly, he opened his eyes, a red light glowing in his pupils. Deus immediately gave an order. The divine cannon. He obediently jumped in without hesitation. Yes. The dragon below was opening its mouth wide and roaring. It was in that same pose. With another dragon restrained by some filth inside its throat, Deke charged forward with his weapon, and another one attacked him with fire as he glided gracefully through the sky. Deke swung his sword down powerfully. Demon King slash. As a result, a green dragon bit the dust. A blue dragon followed suit, and even the gray dragon couldn't escape it. His sword. Deke hugged the pile of loot as happy as if he'd had a great harvest. On to another mission. This time his feet were drenched in syrup. Deke had defeated the red dragon. This outcome wasn't hard to predict at all. A voice made him turn his gaze. It was all the townspeople excitedly shouting, "Look, the dragon hunter! The gods must have sent him here!" The dragon hunter who saved the neighboring Dozia Castle has come to save our village. You're so cool, Mr. Hunter! Mr. Hunter, in your underwear, look over here. Deus appeared before Deke. He raised his hand in praise. You did well, you useless piece of trash. Unable to hide his joy, he high-fived him back. Yes. Word travels fast, and Deke's team quickly became the most famous in the land. Deus looked up. Is it finally done? Beside him, Alex continued, Yes, this is it. His gaze fell upon the shop that had just opened for business, the first branch of the demon's weapon shop, and so the shop opened its doors. Inside the store, countless swords were displayed neatly and tidily. Deke was overwhelmed by the sight before him. Oh my God, this place is so luxurious, Sir Deus. He glanced over. I never thought the space inside would be like this. You must have put in a lot of effort. Alex smiled smugly. Of course. There aren't any weapon shops around here that can compare to this place. Not even the big guilds can match it. A sinister glint appeared in Deus's eyes. Is that so? But that doesn't matter. After all, you two will be the ones managing this shop. His eyes widened in shock. Us. Deke also chimed in. What about you, master? He casually raised his hand. Have you guys ever seen a boss who works himself? Alex broke into a sweat. Did you hear the nonsense our master just spouted? He could only agree. I did. Suddenly, a demonic hand grabbed Alex on one side and restrained Deke on the other. Then Deus squeezed them both tightly like lemons. Listen here, I just want to sit around and count money, not manage some damn shop like this. If you're still hesitant, let me just say that you two were the ones excited about managing a shop. Not me, right? His face twisted as he replied, Understood, sir. While Deke just laughed foolishly. That's right. He cheerfully let them go. Well, that settles that. You two better work hard to grow this shop. Alex reluctantly bowed his head. Yes. Deke, rubbing his sore neck, said, Yes, boss. Suddenly, Deke wanted to say something, making Deus look back. Excuse me, Sir Deus. He scratched his head sheepishly, asking, Can I continue working at the bar when I'm done here? I still need to earn tuition money for my twin siblings. He crossed his arms, refreshed. Do whatever you want. Do whatever you want. Deke's voice was filled with joy. Thank you, sir. And then Deus called out, One more thing, Alex. He quickly scrambled to answer, Yes, sir. His eyes turned serious. Go get the thing I asked for. A moment later, the three of them had their heads together, looking at something. Model. There is a legend that a hero of immense power will always appear in the world, one who would risk their own life to destroy the Demon King and protect the world. But then, the 666 Demon King appeared. He possessed a power that surpassed even the gods, the strongest Demon King in history capable of blocking the hero's attack with a single hand. He shattered the curse that the hero always wins, showing no fear, even when a god appeared. Okay, enough with the intro, let's get started. The story is finished, and the admin has translated it all. Enjoy the show. Perhaps all stories in the world usually begin like this. Once upon a time, on a peaceful day, the Demon King suddenly arrived with his army. All of space seemed to freeze for a few breaths, and then an unknown hero suddenly appeared. His body radiated a brilliant aura, his eyes suddenly blazing like a burning flame, as if he had been standing there waiting for a long time. Quick as a flash, he gathered his strength, seizing the opportunity to ambush his opponent. And in the final, fierce battle between the Demon King and the hero sacrificed himself to defeat the Demon King and save the world. The Demon King was utterly defeated and fell into an eternal slumber, just waiting for the day he could return. These are the stories with their cliched prose, and that you hear over and over again. The world is at peace, and the hero becomes a legend. I don't know who wrote these stories, but tales like this just repeat themselves endlessly. And after a long time, we come to the present day. As a massive gate creaks open, a brilliant light immediately floods out as if joyfully welcoming a glorious new beginning. A subordinate runs in frantically as if he's just seen a ghost. Your Majesty, something terrible has happened. Unlike him, the Demon King calmly asks, What is it? The subordinate's voice grows more and more shaky. Renioagos. He's so panicked he can't control his volume. Renioagos, the 666th demon, has just awakened and left the demon world. As if his emotions have reached their limit, the subordinate screams uncontrollably. He said he doesn't want to be the Demon King anymore. The Demon King, annoyed, quietly warns him, What the hell are you talking about? He stammers, trying to suppress his fear. You idiots think that he... The king, agitated, yells directly in his face. Spit it out. Pushed to his absolute limit, he unconsciously screams. He's run away. The contents of the letter were immediately made public. I'm tired of being the Demon King. Don't come looking for me, you idiots. Sincerely, the Demon King. The court was left utterly stunned, as if frozen by a spell. What in the world is scene change? The early morning sunbeams slant across the stone tiles, echoing with the rhythmic tap of shoes. Good morning, Dees hums as he walks. Letting his joy show in every note, his steps suddenly halt when he sees the magnificent sight before him. This is the Akoma Palace of the Verdasao Kingdom. He's excited, admiring it in his thoughts. It really is the human world I've always longed for. Happiness radiates all around, making Dees spin around joyfully. So cozy. Suddenly, his gentle gaze from a moment ago turns incredibly sharp and cold, overflowing with killing intent. He can't help but sneer in disgust. Except for this damn cross. Just then, an aggressive voice yells, shattering the quiet atmosphere. Hey, you country bumpkin! Where do you think you're going? The arrogant gatekeeper steps forward, intending to teach him a lesson he'll never forget. What do you think this place is, that you can just wander around freely, huh? Dees is a little skeptical, wondering to himself, Country bumpkin, are they talking about me? He quickly checks his attire. Is it because of my clothes? My face is handsome enough. Meanwhile, the man continues to interrogate him. How dare you brazenly wander in front of Akoma Palace? Huh, you got a death wish. Noticing that the other man isn't paying attention to his words, he gets angry and shoves the tip of his spear in his face. What are you looking at, huh? I'm talking to you. State your name now. Dees puts on an expression of utter bewilderment. Me? Fortunately, he still has a shred of reason left. I can't let him know I'm Gemio Egosur, the 666th demon. A unique idea suddenly pops into his mind. That's right. I just need to drop a few letters. Dees forces the most friendly smile he can muster. "Hello, humans." He introduces himself gently. "I am Dees." Just then, a solemn voice suddenly cuts in. "How dare you take the name of an ancient god for yourself? Do you have any idea that this is the capital of the Verde Kingdom, huh?" The subordinates quickly bow respectfully to welcome Count Buo. He threatens coldly, "If you didn't know, then I'll let it slide. Now, get lost." Despite the extremely tense atmosphere, Dees still wears an innocent smile and asks, "Is the Verde Kingdom strong?" The man's eyes immediately widen in shock. "What?" Dees smiles faintly and utters a few loving words. "Is it strong enough for me to become its king?" Realizing he's being insulted, Buo flies into a rage, screaming, "How dare you mock the royal family, huh? You'll pay for that with your life." Unable to listen to another word of his rambling, Dees directly uses his power through a death glare. A deafening explosion rings out, blowing his body into 100 pieces. The subordinate standing next to him is so stunned he can't even close his mouth. "Lord Buo!" Suddenly, the subordinate's face contorts as if an invisible object is forcibly invading it. In just a few short seconds, Dees has sent him on a one-way trip to the underworld with no return. The surrounding crowd immediately panics. What? They suddenly explode, as if he's achieved what he wanted. He excitedly waves his hand, finishing off the rest. The entire guard force is decapitated in the blink of an eye. Suddenly, several soldiers appear on top of the city gate. In stark contrast to the chaos, his eyes remained calm. Dees casually watched the sharp weapon approach him, then his fiery gaze immediately flickered over. Facing the clueless attackers with just a slight movement from him, they were instantly sent to meet their maker. He slowly gave the command, "Rise." All the headless corpses flew into the air in unison. "And welcome your new king," Dees proclaimed majestically before the horrifying scene. "Consecrate my every step with your blood. Bless this body with your tears." His heavy footsteps, one after another, made the ground tremble. "All of you engage the approaching enemy. What has the war already started? Everyone outside is already dead." As soon as that announcement was made, the color drained from everyone's faces. A flickering light suddenly appeared behind the massive gate. The figure of Dees slowly materialized in midair. Landing gently with his usual calm demeanor, he excitedly growled out each word. "Let your screams be my trumpets," as if witnessing a horrifying spectacle. The faces of the entire army turned deathly pale. True to his brutal nature, Dees directly unleashed hundreds of skulls with an intense aura to overwhelm his prey. A scene of chaos immediately erupted. The clash of weapons and ear-splitting screams echoed across the battlefield. "Help me! Mommy! Just kill me!" Amidst the commotion, the figure of Dees quietly watched the fun. He revealed a mischievous smile so delighted and excited that his cheeks flushed a faint pink. Suddenly, a deep, solemn voice began to chant, "Almighty One Creator, Virtuous One, our Father." The divine blood soldier knelt helplessly amidst the brutal battlefield. "Your name shines brightly under the title of the Almighty. You are the beginning and the end." He prayed relentlessly for a miracle to happen. "In the darkness, guide us with the light of truth and bless us with total victory. Repel death and let truth prevail over deceit." As if the gods had heard his earnest call, the sword in his hand began to glow, a final ray of hope. "Please defeat the demon before me and grant me strength." Finally, it erupted in a full aura, declaring war on its opponent. Dees, slightly curious, inquired, "That light, what is it?" "Are you the rumored blood soldier?" In complete contrast to his cheerful attitude, the blood soldier coldly issued a warning. "I don't know who you are. But you use dark magic. It's unbelievable that you could break into a coma palace like this. Prepare yourself." He asserted firmly, "You cannot defeat me, for I have been blessed by the gods." As soon as he finished, his feet shot forward as if propelled by rockets. Leaping forward in an instant, the blood soldier declared forcefully, "I may not be of pure blood, but I can still defeat you." And just as he said it, the space that seemed to have settled was once again thrown into turmoil by him. The atmosphere suddenly grew still after the shockwave, the only sound being his heavy pent-up breathing. Suddenly, the blood soldier's pupils widened as he heard the taunt. "What was that? I thought you were something special." Dees smiled faintly and announced, "Now it's my turn, isn't it?" He slowly began to pray, mimicking his opponent. Our Father who art in heaven, Holy Spirit. But his words held no goodwill for the listener. Please let this idiot go to sleep. He flashed a cunning, excited smile. See, I know how to pray too. So let's see if the gods will answer my wish. Or yours. In just a few short seconds, Dees mercilessly ripped out the still beating heart of his enemy, piercing through his organs without hesitation. His entire body radiated a murderous aura. Don't you ever bring up those gods in front of me. The blood soldier was so terrified his face was drained of all color. Impossible. Without a single thought of sparing him, Dees cruelly crushed the heart in his hand like a cheap toy. And yet, here we are. Inside the hall, a formidable contingent of royal guards was arranged in formation, protecting their master. The majestic sight made him ask excitedly, "Have you all been waiting long for me?" They started to panic as their territory was invaded. He got in. Why is it just this one guy? "We are the last line of defense. Defend with your lives. Hurry," the king asked in a stern voice. "Who are you?" Dees didn't hesitate to state his intentions. "It seems you're the king, right? Let's have a little chat, shall we?" Unfortunately, one soldier in the army didn't know his place and rushed to his death. "How dare you be disrespectful to his majesty?" A soft snap was heard. A mere flick of Dees's fingers was enough to teach a lesson to anyone who got in his way. The unlucky soul hit by his attack immediately collapsed to the floor. He could only scream in hopeless agony. Dees indifferently threatened, "Does anyone else wish to speak?" The entire space fell into an unusual silence, with only a few whispered, affectionate words like, "Damn it," echoing softly. Dees, satisfied, praised them. Good. With that, he shot up into the air. His inner power was so strong it stunned everyone around him. He excitedly rushed straight towards the throne, right before his eyes. Without a hint of hesitation, he brazenly stopped right on the throne. "Let's talk for a bit." Seeing this, the king could only plead in terror. "What do you want? Riches, fame. I'll give you everything, okay?" It seemed they had touched upon the issue that Dees desired every night. A smile slowly formed in his eyes as he calmly stated his terms for negotiation. "I want this kingdom." The old face. The king's aged face grew uglier with panic. He shook his head in frustration. "Seriously, what do you think I want? No good, huh? Then you'll die. Once you're dead, I'll take over the royal family, and this kingdom will be mine." Suddenly a thought struck the king, making him suspicious. "Is he after my family?" The old man roared in fury as if his most precious treasure was being stolen. "I knew it! You bastard! You want my daughter, don't you?" Ignoring the other's overreaction, Deos let out a lazy long yawn. "What daughter? I didn't even know you had one." The old man fumed, cursing silently. "Not my daughter. April is the pride of the Lotus Continent and the flower of our royal family," he repeated one last time, weary of it all. "No, I don't want her. What I want is the royal family." Unable to hold back any longer, the king erupted in a furious roar, demanding an answer. "Why do you always want what isn't yours?" His gaze, which had been relaxed, suddenly turned chilling as his resentment was provoked. What was that? "So, everything belongs to you." It was only then that the old man realized he had crossed a line, but he still stubbornly defended his territory. "Of course, the kingdom belongs to the royal family." Deos's voice suddenly became emotionless from the constant retorts. "Who says so?" He let it all out in a torrent. "When this world was first created, did it belong to you? You also took something that wasn't yours. The royal family, huh? You've enjoyed that throne for decades. Now hand it over so I can take your place." The terrified king stammered in protest. "No." The old man mustered all the courage he had accumulated in his life to retort. "Do you think the Holy Land of Maximus and Yuli will ever recognize you?" Upon hearing that, he burst into maniacal laughter. The Holy Land of Maximus and Yuli. Then he decisively unleashed a terrifying energy that engulfed the entire grand hall. "Who cares, you fool?" The immense power blew the castle apart in a single breath. The bodies of the guards were instantly charred black by the heat. The terrifying scene made the whole space feel gruesome. Deos suddenly grew pensive for a long moment as he witnessed the brutal spectacle that had just occurred. Then he saw the familiar figure from before. He approached, wondering. "Looks like you don't have any blood soldiers, do you?" He expressed his grave disappointment to the corpse that was already burned to ash. If you did, you might have lasted a few more seconds. Well, that was boring. He then slowly turned away to find new amusement. He didn't forget to look up at the sky and deliver a message. Hey, you gods, I'm bored. These guys weren't prepared at all. Amidst the swirling chaos, that majestic figure stood alone, proudly unyielding. Blinding sunbeams from outside the window gradually crept through the cracks, falling into the heart of the silent castle. DEOs suddenly fell into a pensive state. Maybe I'll wander around and have some fun before the pure blood awakens, huh? He carefully checked his memories. There are 25 more. That's usually around the time I start to decline. While lost in his train of thought, he was suddenly pulled back to reality by a soft, sobbing sound. April, having just emerged from the sea of flames, couldn't hold back and burst into tears. Who are you? Being suddenly questioned left him a bit bewildered. The image of two giant hands stark against the vast sky stood as a silent testament to the fierce battle. Back then, the demons who lost the First Great War were exiled to the demon world along with the damaged soul of the demon king, which they placed into a new body. For 100 years, they poured all kinds of magic and curses into it, then resurrected him once more as the new demon king. And so the Second Great War broke out. They had thought there were no heroes left. So they believed they would naturally rule the land, but it was all just a dream. Another hero appeared. Humans with their hearts of steel always fight with all their might until the very end. So it was no surprise that their army was defeated again. And once more, the demon race spent 100 years resurrecting a new demon king. And just like all the other times, another hero appeared. They spent another 100 years resurrecting the demon king, and history would repeat itself when another hero appeared. This cycle repeated 665 times, lasting for 66,585 years. The story of a hero saving the world thus became a matter of course. Just like that, everyone came to believe that a hero would appear again when the time came. Deep down, everyone thought that this would be the last new demon king. Our new king come to this world and lead us. They poured all their strength into resurrecting the 666th demon king. That figure's name was Demo Egoser, the 666th demon king, the one who would bring despair to all of humanity on Earth, opened his eyes on that fateful day. He had slipped away, leaving the scene to echo with only horrified screams. Back in the present, April was still screaming her lungs out. What did you do to my father, you evil sorcerer? Meanwhile, DEOs was simply bewildered from start to finish. What the hell is wrong with her? Wait. The memory from before suddenly rushed back, urging him to recall the old man's words. Don't touch my daughter. April is the pride of the Lotus Continent and the flower of the royal family. It was only then that he began to understand the situation. So, you must be Princess April. Deus's gaze turned incredibly sharp. The king is dead. So now it's time to help his daughter take the throne. Unable to believe what she was hearing, April choked back a sob. What did you say? He ignored her panicked emotions. He gently snapped his fingers, casting a familiar spell. Her sparkling eyes immediately turned a dull, lifeless gray, as if she had just seen Death himself waiting with his scythe. Without a moment's hesitation, the small figure immediately dropped to her knees on the barren ground to show her sincerity. April respectfully greets you. This lowly body belongs completely to you, my lord. Please take me with you, master. As if she had been waiting for this moment for a very long time, D-Earth quickly teleported through the desolate landscape and slowly approached her. The small creature was weakly pleading to be taken in. After a long moment of thought, he decided to gently lift her beautiful face, finally offering a faint smile and a single word of confirmation. All right. From now on, you are my first human apple. She immediately responded like a machine. Thank you, master. Something seemed to compel D-Earth to get a closer look at the person before him. He closed the distance between them until there was no gap left. Suddenly, his eyes turned cold and threatening. Stop peeking and come out. Before I gouge your eyes out. Alex couldn't help but laugh in admiration. Just as I thought, my lord, you already knew. From the silent void, a figure shimmering like morning mist gradually appeared, stepping forward in silence. His calm demeanor was chilling, and a murderous aura spread through the air. But just a few seconds later, a smile broke out when he saw a familiar figure. Alex bowed respectfully. Your loyal servant. Alex, at your service, my lord. D-Earth's voice softened. Have you been following me this whole time? Hearing this, he let out a soft sigh. You wound me, my lord. Wherever you go, I am always by your side, my lord. Not letting him play any more games. He cut straight through the nonsense. You serve me, not the other way around. Still in his reverent pose, he tried to persuade him. Your body was inherited from your very own ancestors. And now you are my lord. Annoyed, he waved a hand dismissively. Whatever. Go play somewhere else. I'm not going back to the demon world, ever. Suddenly, D-Earth got the exact answer he was hoping for. Very well, my lord. Alex flashed a mischievous smile. I will obey only your commands, my lord. Don't worry about me, and please continue what you were doing. His mind reeled from the unexpected turn of events. What was I just doing? Without a hint of hesitation, he frankly shared. Weren't you about to bestow upon that woman your great seed? He began to ramble. I, Alex, who has never left your side for the 85 years of your demonic soul's existence. Alex instantly switched into award-winning actor mode, putting on a masterful performance. Will you hear of my sacrifices for you? My tears could fill a wine glass. Without hesitation, he began sharing memories of his lord's childhood. Throughout your childhood, I breastfed you after transforming my own body. On the other hand, D-Earth was breaking out in goosebumps. That's disgusting. A sense of pride began to consume him completely. Through my dedicated tutelage, I became the perfect educator. In contrast, he shot back. I still remember you beating me half to death. Seemingly ignoring the angry words, Alex continued his farcical performance. I was the only demon who saw you off with compassion when you entered the egg of awakening. He furiously roared back his question. You tied me up and threw me in there, you bastard. His body writhed in a strange, unconscious way. It feels like only yesterday you were wiggling your tiny hands and feet. I can't believe you've grown so much. And have started noticing women. I get emotional so easily you have no idea. D-Earth screamed internally, then decisively cut through the one-man show his opponent was staging. Enough of this nonsense. Let me be clear, I'm not doing any of that Demon King stuff. From today on, I have been reborn as an ordinary human. Alex once again showed a cryptic smile. Very well, my lord, as you wish. Realizing the other's thoughts were becoming even more twisted, he angrily issued a warning. What is that supposed to mean? He stubbornly feigned ignorance. What do you mean, my lord? D-Earth flew into a rage, screaming, What are you plotting? Tell me, why are you indulging me? Spit it out. It was only then that he realized that his own joke had gone too far. I apologize, my lord. I will speak. He finally gently presented his own point of view. My lord, is there a particular reason? You chose to attack this country. Hearing this, he asked suspiciously, A reason? Alex gave a slight nod. That's right. For instance, did that arrogant king invade your territory, or perhaps he coveted the wealth of the demon world, or at the very least were you simply displeased? That would also be a fine reason. A reason like that. He gave his subordinate a serious answer. Well, no, I don't really have one. I just figured if I was going to choose to be human, I should live like a king. He enthusiastically began to clap, interrupting the intense flow of thought. He looked no different from a crazed fan. How befitting of the Demon King. Alex slowly began to list his master's achievements. Right after arriving on Earth, you defeated the largest kingdom. He recounted every single detail with clarity. You slaughtered the king and took his princess. His eyes quickly scanned for prey. So brutal, what could be more fitting for a demon king? Alex exhausted his vocabulary with praise. It's something an ordinary human or even a high-ranking demon such as myself would never dare to imagine. A truly great natural-born demon king. Witnessing this display, D-Earth couldn't help but click his tongue in annoyance. So this is how it is, huh? His mood suddenly sank as he recalled the reason. For a great lord such as yourself to say you would abandon us and refuse to be the Demon King. Suddenly, a unique idea popped into his head. I shall take your son to the demon world and raise him to be the next Demon King. Alex's eyes burned with fierce determination. And on that day, 25 years from now, he declared loudly, Your son will become the 666th Remio Ergosur, and I will have him descend upon this place. Amidst the hazy void, a sudden scream tore through the silent atmosphere. D-Earth's face instantly became bewildered as he tried to make sense of the illusion. He instinctively turned to check on the person beside him, when suddenly, 2 streams of tears began to roll down April's beautiful face. His entire body froze in an instant. So stunned, he couldn't believe his own eyes. D-Earth stood alone on the desolate battlefield, his gaze silently piercing the lingering wisps of smoke. Suddenly, he unexpectedly snorted with laughter, thinking to himself, that was a close one. Man, I almost became a father at the age of 80. The erratic mood swing left Alex gaping. My lord. In stark contrast to his earlier flippant attitude, his eyes instantly became as cold as bullets. A fierce aura suddenly erupted, giving him no time to react. D-Earth, enraged, launched a direct attack on the man before him. Shut up! The entire space seemed to tremble before that terrifying power. Then an earth-shattering explosion descended, sweeping everything away. Alex's posture instantly became meek and fearful. The already devastated battlefield had salt rubbed into its unhealed wounds. Each earth-shattering explosion rang out like a long-brewing declaration of war. D-Earth still couldn't calm down. His anger was blazing. So you want to trick me, do you, you bastards? Alex thought to himself in terror. He's so different. He gulped at the terrifying power. His demon lord aura isn't even complete, and yet he's this strong. The 666th demon lord is definitely different from his predecessors. A flicker of hope began to grow in his heart. Maybe this time we'll actually win. We finally did it. D-Earth's calm voice pulled him back to reality. He's right, being a king is too flashy. In that case, let's do that. The unexpected information made Alex skeptical. That the hero who protects justice. He couldn't seem to process what he had just heard, making him do a complete 360. A hero. He excitedly corrected him. The hero's companion. D-Earth's excitement was palpable. I'll team up with the hero and then I'll get noticed. But I'll stay one step behind the hero so it won't be obvious. An ambiguous position that no one would ever suspect for a demon lord. The hero's companion with this moron hero leading the way. I'll enjoy a sweet ride on his coattails. He was extremely pleased with his own idea. You do all the hard work and I'll reap the glory. This game is easy. Meanwhile, a helpless Alex grabbed his leg and pleaded, without a demon lord there can be no hero. So how can you possibly become his companion? Please reconsider, my lord. He proactively made the invitation. Well then, let's go find this hero. Come on, Alex. The sudden turn of events left him stammering. My lord. He then quickly regained his senses and shouted, wait, what about the princess? D-Earth walked away nonchalantly, leaving his subordinate behind. I don't know, you deal with it. He panicked, trying to cling to his last shred of hope. Isn't she the female lead? He retorted without a second thought. That's a load of crap. Inside, Alex was sobbing his heart out. My lord! Suddenly, a clear voice cut through the commotion. It seems the 666th Demon Lord is a defective product. Not only are his origins at the bottom of the barrel, but so is his intellect. Good for me. After all I need is his power. Kimlong gave a slight satisfied smile. Thanks for showing up right on time. She didn't forget to leave a gentle message. Sorry, but I'll have to borrow your power for a little while. I'm sure he'll forgive me. In the end, everything exists just for the spectacle. A horse was seen trotting across the land. At the same time, a humming voice began to sing, Oh, Mr. Hero. Our gullible Mr. Hero. Where could you be if you don't want to die? You'd better show yourself. The foolish Mr. Hero. Push him to the front. Let him do the heavy lifting. Let me enjoy the glory. Our gullible Mr. Hero. You really shouldn't have fought the new Demon Lord. As D-Earth was singing, he suddenly exclaimed with a start, The Demon Lord is gone! At the same time, a voice called out, Sir! D-Earth didn't seem to hear the call, still lost in a deep slumber. Alex called out once more, then asked in confusion, Sir, why are we taking a horse-drawn carriage? And when we can fly? What a pain! Hearing this, he irritably snapped, What? Then D-Earth frowned in annoyance and questioned him, Hey, you idiot! Are you trying to let the whole world know you're a demon? Finding this reasonable, he fell silent. Then Alex pointed at the castle behind them and yelled, You're so worried about that. And yet you turned the entire castle into that. D-Earth didn't care. He just turned over and said nonchalantly, Whatever. It's burning. It's burning. Suddenly he glanced back and asked seriously, By the way, are you really planning to become the hero's companion? Hearing this, D-Earth excitedly declared, That's right. They say you don't need to be related by blood to become a companion. I just want to live the life of the top 2% of the world. The life of the rich by going to the front lines to kill monsters. Alex broke out in a sweat and said in a low voice, even if you become the hero's companion, it'll be very difficult to be in the top 2%. Then Diot spoke confidently. The former demon lord in one of the 7 strongest demons of the demon world is right here. So what is there to worry about? A hero can kill a dragon as easily as killing a chicken. If we just help him a little. Hearing this, he asked in confusion, I thought you wanted to become a human. Are you planning to use magic? At that, he immediately yelled in annoyance. Why wouldn't I use what I have, you idiot? That's why you've lost 665 times. Seeing Diot so angry, Alex didn't dare say another word. Suddenly, Diot lowered his voice and asked, Anyway, this gullible hero clan, do they have a ranking system? Boti, babu sidaso. Alex answered honestly, yes, they do. They have a ranking system. He continued to ask, a ranking system like A rank, B rank. He squinted and replied, something like that, yes. And so, Alex began to explain. First is D rank Dragon Slayer. Hearing this, Dio asked, D rank. He continued, it means they are people who can slay dragons. Upon hearing this, he furrowed his brow and asked, so that's a title you get? After killing a dragon, huh? Alex's expression turned cold as he spoke in a low voice. Sir, dragons are currently neutral between humans and demons. They only attack villages in old fairy tales, meaning they don't actually have the strength to kill one. Next is G-rank Giant Slayer. Those are people who can fight against a giant. D-ot, cut in once again. G-rank. And what's after that? He continued to list them off. L-rank Lich Slayer. That's someone who can kill a lich. Hearing this, Dio questioned him. Why are there so many? Are there more? Alex glanced back and replied, after that, it just follows the alphabet, sir. Hearing this, Dio asked in disappointment, they just name them however they want. The rest are so bland. He replied honestly, I don't know either, sir. The Hero Management Bureau is the one that decides that. Finally, there's a Frank. They are considered defective products. If they were food, they'd be the spoiled items that couldn't be sold. They'll just lie on the ground and rot. Seeing their tragic fate, he narrowed his eyes and remarked, defective products, huh? How sad. Then Alex spoke softly. You can get more help from nobles of a higher rank than you or gain status in the country. The failures not only don't receive funding, but they are also the ones people wish would just disappear. The human world is quite cruel, isn't it? However, there is something even more important than a hero's rank, and that is blood. Hearing this, Diot furrowed his brow and stated, the closer you are to pure blood, the stronger you are. Then Alex explained seriously, yes, the first people to save the world 66,585 years ago were 2 saviors, the hero and the saintess. Their children and their children after them, and so on. Their descendants continued to maintain the holy bloodline. They measure how much of that blood remains in the clans. The purer the blood, the stronger the aura they can use. The one with the purest blood becomes the hero, fights the demon generals, and has won 665 times. Hearing this, Dio asked doubtfully, so they use the purity of a person's blood as a measuring stick or something. Does whoever has pure blood get a higher rank? Alex hesitated slightly before replying, there are some exceptions, but generally, the purer the blood, the stronger they are. He just put his hand behind his head and smirked slightly. Pure blood, impure blood. What does it matter? Sounds like some kind of prejudice. I was stuck in an egg for 85 years because of that war. Alex, sitting in front, spoke in a serious tone. Everyone takes it very seriously. They stake their lives and their pride on it. Dio, seeming uninterested in the topic, clicked his tongue with a bored expression. Whatever. Seeing this, he just glanced back, and then he closed his eyes, a smirk playing on his lips as he spoke. In the end, the hero and the demon king will fight each other. Everyone has been fighting for 60,000 years just because of that one phrase. After hearing this, Alex added, because it's a promise. Dio showed a look of agreement and hummed softly, and then he spoke gently. Can't they just live a normal life? Like this carriage, slow and comfortable. Suddenly, Dio glanced up at the sky as if he'd spotted something interesting. Then he shot up, pointed at a butterfly, and asked excitedly, Alex, what is that? There's a fluffy thing flying around. Seeing Dio's curiosity about the insect, Alex glanced back. Then he replied, That's a butterfly, sir. Dio looked at the beautiful thing lying before his eyes and exclaimed in amazement, A butterfly! At the same time, a breeze happened to sweep across the flower field. He was knocked off balance by the wind and leaned to one side. A butterfly also flew up high. Seeing this, Dio looked up and reached out, calling for the butterfly. After steadying himself, he asked curiously, What was that? The thing that just blew by and messed up my hair. Alex answered casually, The wind, sir. Hearing that, he murmured softly, The wind. Then Dio tilted his head up and continued to ask, Then what's that thing up there, the one that's been floating above our heads this whole time? His hand reached up as if to grasp the sunlight before him. Dio's eyes looked straight at the sunlight, and another question was asked. That round thing that hurts my eyes when I look straight at it. He also glanced up slightly and answered, That is the sun, sir. And then he leaned forward, smiling, as he exclaimed, What is this sweet scent? It makes my heart flutter. Hearing this, Alex calmly said, That is the scent of spring, sir. Dio hesitated. The scent of spring. And then, while gazing at the scenery before him, he remarked, Alex, you've lived a long time, haven't you? With a cold expression, he narrowed his eyes and replied, Yes, I was born after the First War because the 7 of us dukes were all born in the demon world. Dio's gaze remained fixed on the beautiful scenery. At the same time, he spoke, So since the First War, you've come here once every 100 years, huh? It must be wonderful. This place called the Surface. You could see the expression on his face as he looked up at the sky. He looked like he was really enjoying it. Suddenly, Alex was startled and quickly turned around, but Dio just smiled gently and mused. The former Demon King probably never got to experience things like this. If everything had gone according to plan, I would have been stuck for about 2 more centuries before setting foot on the surface. My destiny was to die at the hands of a hero. We've never met before. Luckily, I ran away. Then he leaned his head on his hand, turned to me, and gave a faint smile. The Demon King had work to do, so he vanished. Do you agree? After hearing this, he just stayed silent and said nothing more. Then Dio lay back, clicked his tongue, and said, Whatever. I'm going to sleep. Wake me up when we get there. I'm just saying that as a precaution. But if you take me back to the demon world, we'll both die. Alex just remained silent, his eyes fixed on Dio. Then he gently replied, Yes, my lord. And their journey continued. After a long journey, they finally arrived. The wooden wheels came to a stop. At the same time, Alex turned around and announced, My lord, we've arrived. Dio, still in a daze, sat up and asked, We're here already. Next, he turned his head to look at the scene before him and said, This is the place you described, sir. A small trading post not in a military zone. A peaceful rural village called Joseph. He remarked, sleepily, drool still trickling down. Joseph? Not bad. They continued on their way. Only the sound of the horses' hooves could be heard on the dirt road. Dio then asked, So, what about the heroes? Alex heard him and answered honestly, There are only 2 families, sir. One A-rank family close to G-rank and one flawed family. He glanced over while thinking to himself, It seems there isn't a single D-rank clan. If there was one D-rank in every castle, then our demon army would never dare set foot on the surface. Then Dio, with a curious look, questioned, Are D-ranks really that strong? He calmly replied, Yes. Suddenly, a scornful voice rang out, Cowards! At the same time, someone else spoke up, Have you heard? The Castle of Trials was attacked by a dragon. Hearing this, the other man frowned and warned in a serious tone, How could it do that? They say they still haven't caught the dragon, so don't go anywhere near that place. The young man next to him also scratched his head and frowned. I heard about that too. I heard half the castle was burned to the ground. The woman standing there asked in confusion, But weren't dragons supposed to have gone extinct a long time ago? How is that possible? Another person exclaimed in fear, Is the age of dragons returning? If that's true, this is terrible. Dio then pointed at those people and asked, Hey, I thought dragons were neutral. Alex glanced over and said, I thought so too. The last time I was on the surface was 85 years ago, so I guess in that time, something must have happened. We should quickly inform St. Maximus and request they send us a D-rank hero. The scene changes, and only Alex's voice is heard. "Sir, this is the best hotel nearby. Let's stay here." Diot saw the place and clicked his tongue, instructing, "This is a hotel." "Well, it can't be helped. Also, from now on, don't call me Lord anymore." Alex seemed quite confused and let out a sound. "Huh." Diot, now quite impatient, immediately ordered, "How long are you going to keep calling me your lord? Go book a room first." Hearing that, Alex obediently replied, "Yes." Inside the hotel, an old man at the reception desk saw the guests and cheerfully began, "Welcome, sirs, too." But when he saw the two of them walk in, he was startled for a moment. Alex immediately took off his hood and, with a polite smile, requested, "We'd like an attic room. Our young master is very picky." The old man looked at them and screamed angrily in his head, "What kind of clothes are those? Are they a bunch of country bumpkins?" But on the outside, he broke into a sweat and hesitantly explained, "You must be from out of town, so you might not know. The attic is very expensive." Alex said nothing and opened a chest in front of the old man. Inside was filled with treasure taken from a Coma castle. When he saw the treasure before him, he quickly turned and angrily shouted, "Holobid, hurry up and escort our guests to their room." A young man was seen rushing out, saying, "Holobid the idiot at your service." Meanwhile, the person in front of him carelessly fell to the ground. "Sorry." The old man didn't care and just yelled, "Shut up and escort our valued guests. Hurry up." The person who had just fallen quickly and embarrassedly got up. He bowed repeatedly, "Hello." Then with a bruised but cheerful face, he said, "My name is Rick Panholibid. Please just call me Rick. I'll carry your luggage, so please go on ahead. It's a bit noisy right now because of the news about the Castle of Trials. To think a legendary dragon would appear. However, there's no need to worry. There's an A-rank clan here, close to G-rank, very famous in the village." Riquet was seen sweating as he lifted the chest, while Alex just smiled faintly. "Well then, that's good," Alex said with a light smile. Next, Riquet led the two to their room. He placed his hand on the doorknob and slowly pulled it open. Then Riquet cheerfully said, "Please come in. This is the highlight of our golden pavilion, the attic, to be honest. This is the first time I've been in charge of someone so prestigious. I'm not sure if it will suit your tastes, but I'll do my best to serve you both. Please just let me know if you need anything." As he carried the chest inside, Dees suddenly called out to him. Hearing this, GK quickly replied, "Yes, sir." His eyes narrowed slightly as a smirk played on his lips. "You have the blood, don't you?" Jeek broke out in a cold sweat and answered cautiously, "Yes." "Ah, yes." Dees continued, "No wonder you seemed different." The corners of his lips curled up slightly as he calmly stated his deduction. "For someone with the blood, your physical strength is quite weak, and since you're working here, you must be from the fallen one of Joshua's two hero families, right? Your family must be nothing but impure descendants now." Hearing this, Jeek's stomach dropped. He then demanded, "What's the purity of your blood?" Clutching the chest, Jeek stammered, I'm unfortunately an F rank, a defective product." Suddenly, a loud explosion echoed from out of nowhere. The three of them immediately looked up to see a giant fire dragon roaring incessantly before them. It continuously spewed fire from its mouth. Seeing this, people panicked and started to flee. "It's a dragon. A dragon is invading." "Oh my God!" Jeek turned around and shouted, "Sir, you have to run!" At the same time, Dees looked over, pointed, and asked, "I thought you said dragons were docile." Hearing that, Alex snapped irritably, "I said I wasn't sure." Seeing the scene before him, Jeek broke out in a sweat and stammered, "Sir." Suddenly, Dees spoke calmly as if to comfort him. "It's all right, Jake Pan Holobit." Then, with his pupils glowing a blazing red, he declared with a smirk, "I will become your supporter, so you will become a hero. After all, I was looking for a hero. This must be fate. Accept my offer. I will grant you the wealth and fame you desire. I will erase your reputation as a failure." Jeek listened to those words, and his jaw dropped in astonishment. Then Dees said in a low voice, "Live the rest of your life as a waste, or accept my offer and change your destiny. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity." At that moment, a thought flashed through his mind. A blood warrior. How can an F rank like me become a blood warrior? Why do they even have children? In the end, he's just a failure. A failure like him is lucky just not to starve to death. The pitiful voices of two children from his memory also echoed, "Big brother, where did mom and dad go? We're so hungry, brother." At the same time, Jeek thought to himself, an opportunity. Suddenly, his knees slammed hard onto the floor. Jeek knelt before the two of them and declared loudly, "Please take me into your care, my lord. I am just a nobody, but I will give it my all. I will definitely not disappoint you. If you wish, I will even offer you my soul." Hearing this, Dees smirked and let out a laugh. "I was just about to ask you that." And then he commanded in a loud voice, "Then today will be your first battle. Go hunt that dragon." "Shouldn't we start with a goblin or something?" he cried out in panic. Dees simply held out his hand and requested, "Then let's make a contract." Seeing the power before him, Jiki was utterly astonished. At his command, dense lines of text appeared. A contract appeared. Party A Dees. Party B Jeek. One Party B shall choose Party A as a hero partner. Two Party B shall absolutely obey all commands from Party A. 3. The relationship may last indefinitely at the will of Party A, and only Party A has the right to terminate the contract. 4. Fame and assets acquired from the journey will be shared with Party B. In any amount Party A desires whenever Party A desires. 5. Party B shall not have any objections whatsoever to the above conditions. After reading it, Jeek thought to himself, "This feels like an absurdly unfair contract." Dees, still looking down with narrowed eyes, said with a smirk, "Sign it if you accept. The contract will then be complete." Seeing his expression, Jiki gritted his teeth, his face filled with conflict. But when he looked at the contract, he thought to himself, "Fame and assets." At the same time, Jeek made up his mind and shouted, "Jeek Pan Halibut." This was the sign that Jeek had accepted all the terms of the contract. Seeing this, Dees's lips curled into a smile, revealing two sharp fangs. He then pointed at the giant dragon. Then he smirked and ordered, "Well then, it's time for your debut. Kill that dragon." Hearing that, Jeek exclaimed in shock, "What?" At the same time, Alex spoke up to remind him, "Master humans normally cannot defeat a dragon." After hearing this, they both looked confused. With a cheerful and nonchalant expression, he said, "I know that. He just needs to pretend he's killing it, and I'll be the one to actually do it." They both looked bewildered, not understanding at all. Next, Dees laid out his plan. First, Alex will go and greet the dragon, then drop it in front of that defective product. At that moment, a failure of a product will swing his sword at the falling dragon. A reject will swing his sword at the falling dragon. Others will see it and think, "He saved us. What a cool hero that guy that reject came and killed the dragon." "The beast is attacking," Dee said calmly while Jeek's jaw dropped after hearing those words. Alex, still seeming to doubt the plan, questioned it. "But people will be suspicious if an F rank like Jeeki suddenly kills a dragon. Besides, isn't a D rank hero as a partner going to make you stand out too much to live peacefully?" Dee, with a look of pure excitement, turned to look at him. Seeing this, Jeeki broke out in a sweat and stammered, Why are you suddenly looking at me like that, my lord?" Suddenly, D-Earth lunged forward and ripped Jeek's shirt, much to his shock. Then he decisively grabbed a nearby pot. At the same time, D-Earth used his laser eyes, shooting them straight at the pot in his hand. Then he forcefully slammed the pot with 2 round holes onto Jeek's head, making Jeek cry out in surprise. Next, D-Earth enthusiastically announced, "The masked hero appears." But Jeek was just covered in discarded items, like a dented pot and a cape made from a waiter's uniform. Seeing his own embarrassing appearance, he blushed and screamed internally, "What is this?" Dee narrowed his eyes slightly and said with a smirk, "A hero has to wear a cape and hide his face, right? Now, no one will question the appearance of a mysterious hero. Isn't it perfect?" Meanwhile, Alex was shown lifting a still-burning iron bar with one hand. He then calmly offered, "In that case, I'll bring the dragon over." After hearing this, D-Earth immediately gave him an okay sign. Next, he turned to Jeek and suggested with a slight smile, "Let's go." Jeek cautiously replied with a single sound, then blushed in embarrassment and wondered, "Are we really going out like this to fight a dragon?" D-Earth, thinking Jeek was worried about a weapon, glanced around. Just then his eyes landed on something nearby. He then kicked it over to him and said with a light laugh, "Here, a holy sword." Jeek immediately caught it with his hands. And it turned out that the weapon D-Earth called a sword was just a worn-out broom. Jeek trembled non-stop, holding the broom in his hands. Next, D's pupils glowed red. He smirked and demanded, "Just stand still and hold that broom, even when the dragon is right in front of you. After that, I will give you fame and fortune beyond anything you could ever use." After hearing this, sweat poured down Jeek's face like a river. "Osh haise." Jeek, Anj. Jeek had a feeling he couldn't understand what was happening. Suddenly, he clenched his fist, as if he could destroy anything. An extreme desire filled Jeek's entire body at that moment. It was like he was about to erupt. Perhaps it came from something deep within Jeek's blood. A hero's instinct, always dormant within his red blood cells, the blood of a hero, was yearning to tear the Demon King before him to shreds, but because he didn't know what was happening, Jiki just thought this. He saw D-Earth standing there, a smirk of delight on his face, and then, as if hypnotized, he told himself, "Seeing Lord D-Earth's eyes, I'm starting to feel courageous. As if I can do this. Fame and fortune." At the same time, he excitedly shouted, "Yes, master!" Then D pointed straight ahead and commanded, "Go, my servant Jeek." Like a tamed dog, he immediately dashed off. Yes, in the sky, a fire dragon was soaring. Wherever it went, fire followed, causing the people below to scream in fear. "Help me!" The fire dragon opened its massive fiery maw and let out a powerful roar as if to assert its dominance. Sparks shot out all around it. The sky had now turned red with smoke and fire, and the fire dragon continued on its flight path, leaving a raging inferno in its wake. Debris from its passing continued to fall behind it. At the same time, a spatial gate appeared in midair. From it, Alex landed gracefully on the cross atop a nearby church, and then with a sharp gaze, he glanced over at the flying dragon. There, the fire dragon with flames blazing in its mouth roared once more. Alex was seen reaching over and grabbing the cloak on his shoulder. Suddenly, countless thorny arms appeared behind him. No. The sight of Alex standing amidst the burning flames was incredibly majestic. He then raised a hand to pull down the hood on his head. Next, Alex immediately leaped high into the air to dodge an attack from the fire dragon's wing, and then he landed forcefully right on its back to its astonishment. Alex and his remaining arms swung out powerfully. After that, he decisively plunged his hand into the tough hide on the fire dragon's back. The other arms clawed relentlessly until its back was torn open, revealing a yellow heart. Immediately, Alex's arms simultaneously wrapped tightly around the giant beating heart. Then, with a smug look, he began his interrogation in a low voice. "I have your heart. You should not resist me or my commands. I will ask you this first. Why have you appeared in this place? Don't dragons and humans have a pact?" Suddenly, Alex's pupils constricted, as if he had just sensed something strange. He looked at the fire dragon, which was gradually transforming, and exclaimed in shock, "What is this?" At the same time, it kept growling in its strange language, leaving Alex bewildered. Next, with a sharp, angry glare, he snarled, "How does a dragon like you know that language?" What is that filth? Something's wrong. The fire dragon's entire body was engulfed in flames as it charged straight ahead. Below the ground was a scene of utter devastation. At the same time, with a powerful stomp, he appeared looking utterly embarrassed. He tried to act calm, his eyes fixed on the fire dragon, when a voice called out from behind him, "What's that?" Hearing this, Zeke immediately glanced over. Inside a house, some children were hiding. Seeing him, they were surprised and wondered, "Who's that? Why isn't he hiding? Is he planning to fight that dragon all by himself? Is he a hero? But doesn't he look kind of like a pervert? Or is he just some pervert?" Hearing these comments, Zeke blushed, covered his ears, and gritted his teeth, thinking to himself, "This is so humiliating. I'm terrified and embarrassed at the same time." Just then, Dia, who was sitting nearby, rested his chin on his hand and cheered, "Go get a masked hero, save our Josher." Seeing him, Zeke turned and stammered, "Sir D-Oat." The others heard this and exclaimed in surprise, "The masked hero. A hero really came. He's a hero. Sir Hero." Zeke forced an awkward smile and cautiously thanked everyone. Then, embarrassed, he tightened his grip on the broom in his hand. At the same time, he resolved to motivate himself in his head. "That's right. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I can't let it slip by, Zeke. Think of the fame and fortune. At that moment, Zeke's eyes seemed to become more determined. The fire dragon, still out of control, was relentlessly spewing fire all around as it opened its giant mouth. It let out a massive roar, then continued to charge forward. With flames enveloping its body, Alex on the dragon's back broke into a sweat and thought to himself, "Looks like it's going to be hard to control it in this state. I have no other choice." Next, he began to use all his strength to summon countless more arms. 100 demon hand prison. The arms began to spread relentlessly, outward, wrapping tightly around the fire dragon's entire body. With a pained expression, it could only let out an ear-splitting screech. Then Alex's arm enveloped in dark power. I declared in a deep voice, "This is the final blow." Instantly, the countless arms powerfully plunged straight into the fire dragon's body. Attacked in this way, it let out a great roar of pain. At the same time, Alex flinched as if he had sensed something. He immediately looked down, only to see all of his arms being tightly bound by mysterious creatures from within the fire dragon. The fire dragon's faltering voice rang out, "Prepare yourself. Surely you've seen. The one you thought was dead has returned." It spoke up to this point, then suddenly fell silent. But the flames in its mouth continued to burn brightly. Instantly, that purple creature suddenly lunged straight at Alex's face. Seeing this, he frowned and muttered, "So that's what this is." Meanwhile, D'Oat, sitting below, looked up and urged loudly, "What are you doing? Hurry up and get down here. The audience is waiting." He was seen picking his nose, then questioned perplexedly, "Are you trying to sculpt a dragon? Why is it taking you so long to kill just one?" The fire dragon, its body burned to the color of charcoal, was groaning nonstop, and then the light in its eyes gradually faded and the sound stopped instantly. The fire dragon's entire body was now tightly bound by Alex's countless arms. After that, both he and the fire dragon plummeted straight down. D'Oat, sitting there with his chin in his hand, commented with disappointment, "Useless trash." Hearing that, Zeke immediately spun around in surprise. Next, he pointed to the sky and announced, "Get ready, it's coming." Zeke quickly looked up as D'Oat reminded him, "Make sure you time your swing perfectly." The fire dragon above was falling straight towards Zeke's position. With its mouth wide open, it plunged downward as if it wanted to swallow him whole. Suddenly, Zeke called out, "Sir Dio." Hearing his name, Dito was slightly startled, and then Zeke, sweating and frowning, pleaded, "I don't want to die." After hearing this, he couldn't help but burst out laughing. Next, Dio narrowed his eyes and declared with a smirk, "I, Dio, give you my word of honor. No matter what happens, I will not let you die." After hearing these words, Zeke felt as if he'd been given new strength and became braver. A strange light could be seen flashing from within his blood. At the same time, Zeke gripped the broom in his hand and encouraged himself in his head, "That's right, I can do this." Then he swung the broom forward and shouted his move, "Moonlight Rhapsody First Movement." The fire dragon was still diving headfirst toward the ground with Alex on its back. He was still being restrained by those purple creatures. They clung to him stubbornly, refusing to let go, making him grit his teeth in frustration and cry out. And then Alex couldn't take it anymore and immediately roared in anger. At the same time, his countless arms shot straight up into the sky and in the palm of each hand. An eye appeared, opening wide and staring straight ahead. Next, they took control of those arms and tried to pounce on Alex, but Alex wouldn't go down so easily. He quickly raised his hands to block them. The scene before him was of him fighting alone against those replicating creatures. Alex looked at them. Then he muttered in a serious tone, "This is getting a little annoying." And then he looked straight down. Right now, Alex and the fire dragon's corpse were about to fall straight to the ground. Next, he used his technique, 100 Demon Hands Celestial Ray. Instantly, all of those strange purple creatures were almost completely disintegrated by Alex's hands. After taking the full brunt of the attack, they immediately broke apart. He was seen raising a hand to grab the thing still clinging to half of his face. Then Alex gritted his teeth, pulling it off forcefully while letting out a loud grunt. At the same time, D'Out from below looked up and spoke calmly. "It's getting closer. You should take it slow. Otherwise, our hero might get crushed." He on the fire dragon's back was still using all his strength to rip the purple creature off of him. One of Alex's eyes began to glow. Meanwhile, Alex kept screaming. The fire dragon was still falling at a dizzying speed towards the people inside the houses below. Seeing this, they panicked and screamed, "A dragon's attacking, everyone run! Get to the hallway! Hurry!" Rick's mother, with a worn-out broom in her hands, was trembling uncontrollably in fear. Their panicked voices echoed non-stop. "It's charging right at us." At the same time, Dio jumped down from the roof of the carriage, saying, "Hey Alex, what are you doing? Take it easy." Suddenly he seemed to realize something. He was startled and immediately looked up. Before Dio's eyes was the sight of Alex fighting alone against that strange creature. The dragon was now very close to the spot where Rick was standing. Although terrified, he tried to calm himself down. "No matter what, I'll stand my ground and take it down in one blow." At that moment, a voice echoed in his head. Rick looked closely. An image of a sword slashing down appeared. Moonlight. The Rick of the past, seeing this, looked over at a man with a child on his back. He spoke cheerfully. "This sword art is our clan's secret tradition. You must learn it, son, in case the Demon King's army invades our world." The other children in the village say, "You can't go slay demons." "Actually, it's not that our clan can't, son. It doesn't matter what other people say. Our Holy Beat tribe carries the sacred blood of heroes. You will definitely become a demon-slaying hero, so just keep practicing diligently." After hearing these words, he stood there stunned for a moment, and then he smiled brightly and replied obediently, "Yes, father." Back in the present, Rike stood there, sweat pouring down like a river. Then he swung the broom behind him and yelled, "Moonlight first form!" At that moment, Alex had managed to pull the creature off his face while Diot's eyes went wide. He unleashed his move straight at the fire dragon. Immediately after, a huge explosion occurred. As Reek slammed the broom down forcefully, he roared with determination, "Demon King slash!" The fire dragon before him instantly exploded. Right after Rike shouted the technique's name, a thick green liquid splattered everywhere, accompanied by loud crashes as its corpse slammed into the rubble. The nearby houses couldn't escape being smashed into tiny pieces by the fire dragon's body. The green liquid had also splattered all over the pot Reek was wearing on his head. As for Reek, he just stood there with his eyes squeezed shut. Then he slowly opened them to observe the scene. Jeek's entire body was now covered in the fire dragon's liquid. Covered in it, Jeek felt even more embarrassed, furrowing his brow and letting out a yell. He then immediately turned to look around at where he was standing. He saw that the green liquid had splattered everywhere. Jeek couldn't hide his astonishment at the sight. At the same time, a voice rang in his ear. "The hero." And then everyone cheered joyfully. He defeated the dragon. Our savior, a hero, the gods must have sent him. Long live the hero. Hero. Being hailed by everyone for the first time, he felt embarrassed. He let out a small yelp. Suddenly, Dio coughed a few times in the distance, catching Jeek's attention. He turned to look in surprise. Next, he narrowed his eyes and reminded him, "Aren't you gonna change and get out of here?" The hidden hero, hearing that he was startled and quickly called out, "Jesse!" And then the embarrassed Jeek quickly ran away from his current spot and dashed off. At that moment, an image of Alex appeared standing on the steeple of a church, looking straight down. His face was now covered in countless extremely strange symbols. Alex's other eye also flashed with light. The place he was observing was precisely where the fire dragon's corpse had fallen. Just then a deep voice was heard. "The one who was thought to be dead has returned." Dio was seen stretching his arms and sighing with a slight smile. "Slept so well." At the same time, Alex placed a teacup on the table for him. I ate him and gently offered, "You're awake, sir. Please have some coffee. They say humans start their morning with a cup of coffee." Hearing this, he exclaimed in surprise. Suddenly, Jeek rushed in looking frantic and announced, "Sir Patia, something's happened." Hearing this, Deo turned to Sir Patia. With a face that couldn't hide his excitement, he laughed loudly and said, "The entire village is searching for that hidden hero. They're saying they have to make that person the village hero." Noticing the dirt on Jeek's clothes, he asked in confusion, "What happened to your clothes?" Jeek just scratched the back of his head and answered with an awkward laugh. "The village was devastated by yesterday's disaster, so I was just helping the townspeople clean up. Besides, the pay for manual labor is pretty good." At that moment, Dio raised his coffee cup to his lips. He took a sip and mumbled, "It's fine. Everything is still going according to my plan." Then he glanced to the side, looking at the sunbeam streaming in. Then Deote comfortably thought to himself, waking up to the sunlight, drinking this fragrant coffee. JK gasped in amazement. That mysterious shield looked incredible. Deeth stepped forward and picked it up. He lifted it, examining it, then said, "Read." Alex obeyed. "Yes, sir." He began to explain the shield's origin. Dom Lagoon was crafted from dragon scales obtained as a reward from a dragon hunt and combined with numerous precious gems and rubies. With its magnificent craftsmanship, this is an S-rank shield worthy only of true heroes. It was specially forged by Hence, the #1 blacksmith of the underworld. Not only that, Alex added, this item can withstand 3 or 4 attacks from the Demon King. Jeek flailed his arms around, completely stunned. It can even block the Demon King's attacks. So the dwarves really are the master craftsmen of legend. In reality, the underworld Alex mentioned referred to the demon realm, but JK misunderstood it as the land of the dwarves. With the introduction over, Deeth tossed the shield toward him. "Here, weakling, catch." The moment he touched the shield, a blinding light erupted. Jeek was transported to another dimension. "Where am I?" He looked around uneasily, shouting, "Lord Deeth!" Suddenly, a strange voice spoke. "A human! Was it you who called me?" Before Jeek stood a giant glowing red eye. It introduced itself. "My name is Dom Lagoon. I shall accept you as my master until the day the flame of my life turns to ash." Jeek's jaw dropped. Master." Suddenly lightning flashed from a beam of light. Jeek looked around curiously. "Lord Dom Lagoon, where did you go?" Suddenly he heard Deeth's voice. "It's coming! You'd better block it." And then a terrifying surge of power shot straight at Jeek. At the same time, the eyes on Lagoon flashed. He was sent flying through the wall and out of the shop by the force. Alex looked at the huge hole and complained. What kind of boss goes and wrecks his own newly built shop? But Deeth didn't seem to care at all. Well, just a little test." Suddenly he saw a familiar bandaged arm being raised. Jeek was sitting amidst the rubble, smiling brightly. "Lord Deeth, this shield is truly incredible. It's so amazing that not even an A-rank hero, even a G-rank would want it." Deeth looked surprised. "Even though it's only 1/100th of my size, I suppose it could still easily block my Spear of Doom." Then he looked down and called out, "Weakling!" As if by habit, Jeek cheerfully replied, "Yes." Deeth's next words left Jeek's face frozen in shock. "From now on, it's yours." He grinned, revealing a pair of sharp fangs. "We want you to use some stronger equipment, you know. You're just too weak. I'll be adding more one by one, so let's start with this for now." Jeek's voice was a mere whisper. "Really?" And with that, Jeek's tears began to fall onto the shield. He was so moved he started to sob. "Giving me a wonderful shield like this, even though I'm just a useless F-rank. Is this really okay?" Deeth's face was emotionless. "Yeah." Jeek turned the eyes on the shield to look at it through his tears, then hugged it tightly. He cried so hard his face was a mess of tears and snot. "Even if I lived for another 1,000,000 years, I would never have dared to dream that one day I could hold such a magnificent shield. This is the greatest shield in the entire world." At this point, Deeth had to step in to calm him down. "You idiot. I'm not hitting you, so why are you crying?" Elsewhere in a ruined palace, laughter echoed throughout the hall. This was the Varden Kingdom Akoma Castle. All the soldiers and nobles were indulging in a feast. "Drink up!" A heavily jeweled hand was raised. "Wearing so much must make your hand heavy." Covetous eyes were fixed on the pile of goods. "You've managed to gather quite a lot, haven't you?" The man with the chipped tooth couldn't hide his satisfied expression. "Who would have thought you were hoarding so much? It's not like you can take it with you when you're dead." That old man has no conscience whatsoever. The man turned to a girl with vacant eyes. "Am I right, Princess April?" The chipped tooth man burst out laughing with delight. Suddenly, a stranger's legs came into view. Drawing everyone's attention, he was completely covered as he slowly opened the door and stepped inside. The stranger kept his head down, not a single patch of skin visible. Ignoring everyone's scrutinizing gazes, he tiptoed inside. The stranger went to every corner examining them, then walked up the stairs to the next floor. He looked at and assessed each pillar. "Not here." His footsteps slowed. Everyone stopped eating to watch him. The stranger calmly walked past the rows of tables. He stopped at a specific spot, sat down, and reached out his hand to examine it, just looking at the distance from the city gates to this spot. There isn't a single trace of a battle. The chipped-tooth man swaggered over to confront him. What? Who the hell are you? When he looked up with a bright smile, they could clearly see it was Cadencia. Oh, don't mind me. Don't worry about me. Please feel free to continue as you were. With that, he stamped his foot and stood up. Cadencia then leaped decisively upwards. Like this. He then stopped in front of the chipped-tooth man. After landing, Cadencia's hand touched the ground beneath his feet to examine it. His eyes glowed with a blue light. Here, with just a single sudden explosion, Cadencia stood up abruptly, looking up at the mountain pass under the moonlight. The mountain range was shaped like this from just one attack. Cadencia was stunned for a moment. Could a human? The blue light in his eyes intensified. Really do something like this? Watching this series of incomprehensible actions, the gap-toothed guy, annoyed, gritted his teeth. He furiously shouted an order. Get this bastard out of here! Immediately, a soldier with a sword charged forward wildly. Yes, sir. And then Cadencia turned around, holding up a hand to stop him. Don't move. It's very dangerous. Even though you all are just a bunch of cockroaches scurrying around this place. Your lives are still very precious, you know. Ha! That sentence drove them even more insane. This guy has a death wish. Kill him. Die, die. He wearily raised his hand. As creations of God, you shouldn't act like this. All the soldiers were caught in invisible threads and fell over. Cadencia pointed at the remaining nobles. You lot stay still if you don't want to end up like them. The gap-toothed guy stared at his fingers and screamed, Magic! What's happening? Who are you? Cadencia gave an extremely friendly smile. The higher-ups are very concerned about the things happening here. For instance, the appearance of something terrible, so I was sent here to investigate. I hope you'll cooperate a little. The man's face scrunched up as if in disbelief. The higher-ups? He smiled, his eyes crinkling. That's right, Cadencia declared grandly, on behalf of God the Savior. The man in rage growled and screamed, The Savior, the most compassionate one. Cadencia's eyes lit up, then he challenged the other man. If you already know, then I don't need to say much more. Why don't you just confess everything yourself? What happened here on that day? He growled, demanding loudly, Who, what, and why? Cadencia chuckled softly and said in a deeply sarcastic tone, Destroying Akoma Castle, one of the greatest holy sanctuaries. In just a moment, and vanishing without a trace. How brilliant. The man shook his head, his tone firm. I don't know anything. Afterwards, he quietly recounted. I only overheard from the merchants in town that he had white hair. Seeing this, Cadencia glared and asked coldly, A white-haired kid? The man nodded without hesitation, affirming, That's right. That morning, they said they saw a suspicious white-haired kid entering and leaving the city gate. Right after that, they heard screams, and then the castle suddenly exploded. After hearing this, in Dinch's mind, a mysterious thought arose. Seeing this, the man trembled and insisted, That's all I know. Only God knows what happened next because everyone in the castle is dead. After hearing that, he fell completely silent, not saying a single word. Cadencia turned and left. As he left, he even gave a polite farewell. Thank you for the answer. Goodbye. The man suddenly shouted in explanation. He is the savior of this place. You wouldn't understand. The tyrannical rule of King Verde had become too arrogant. Akoma, the greatest castle in the world. Ridiculous. It was built on the flesh and blood of the common people in the city. That white-haired youth is the savior, sent by God to kill that tyrant, and to help us take back what is rightfully ours. The man angrily shot to his feet and insisted he is the true savior, far more capable than that scumbag who uses the divine to live a life of luxury. Cadencia suddenly turned his head back, his eyes filled with killing intent and coldness. Well said, he said. However, we will determine whether he was truly sent by God or is part of the Sark forces. He raised his hand, warning the man. And another thing. Cadencia hesitated for a moment, then said with conviction, How dare you insult him, die. Scene change. Someone is repeatedly stomping hard on a monster's body. There you are, you damn germ. It's a parasite, not a germ. Two mysterious men. were still standing there watching the monster take its last breath. Same difference. Anyway, report the location and let the Golden Divine Dragon handle the rest. Fine. After finishing their business, the two of them left together. That was D. Eth walking beside Alex. At first, I was happy to be working like this. But with this much work, doesn't it become a pretty serious problem for the dragons? Things have come to this. The Golden Divine Dragon should have taken her own stance and put an end to everything. She calls herself a divine dragon after all. Hearing that, he calmly explained the reason. The reason she can't take care of it herself is probably because she's existing in the body of a mortal. Deeth frowned impressed and clearly confused. What does that mean? Alex sighed and shook his head. I'm not entirely sure, but I think she must have some connection to the records in the Library of Time and Space. After hearing that, a bit of curiosity sparked within him. The Library of Time and Space. Alex nodded firmly. That's right. It's the place where the history of the world, officially recognized by the gods long ago, is kept. While memories or ordinary texts can be easily manipulated by spiritual magic, once something is written down in the Library of Time and Space, it can never be altered. It's irrefutable ironclad proof. After hearing that, a question arose in Dee's mind. So the reason the Golden Divine Dragon is acting like this is because she's afraid of being recorded in the Library of Time and Space. So in another dimension, her appearance here is a secret that shouldn't be made public. Alex nodded, his demeanor very gentle. Something like that. He unconsciously asked again, why? Alex gazed into the distance at the grassy field before them. I don't know either. How could a normal guy like me understand the personal problems of divine dragons? Dee casually asked, is that grown-up stuff? Alex didn't understand what was happening either. Dee glanced over at Deke, who was lying nearby. Did this piece of trash fall asleep again? Hearing this, Alex just calmly suggested that he was probably tired. He stared intently at the soundly sleeping Deke. The kid was acting like nothing happened, but he had just faced a dragon that even an S-rank hero would struggle to defeat. Perhaps only he could have done it because he'd learned how to defend himself and fight that dragon. After hearing that, Dee still felt a sense of confusion that he couldn't quite explain. Alex then observed Deke carefully. Why is he carrying a shield but keeping it wrapped in cloth like that? He said that he always treasures that shield because it's something incredibly important to him. He's going to give this shield to his younger brother when he becomes a hero. Hearing this, Dee burst out laughing. What an idiot. Tell him to just unwrap it and use it. He can just buy a new one for his brother. Alex couldn't help but laugh along. You're right. Dee yawned tiredly. Hey, let's get moving. Just toss him on the cart and let him sleep. Alex nodded and quickly replied, right. And so Dee and Alex pushed Deke's cart and set off. As they were walking, Dee suddenly asked out of the blue, it hasn't come apart yet, has it? Alex was stunned, his face a mask of confusion. Huh. He pointed directly at Deke's wounds, the bandages on Deke's arms and legs. Alex nodded and replied nonchalantly, oh, right. Dee walked over to Deke and observed him closely. I thought those doctors would do a half-assed job, but it looks like they were actually quite professional. Well, if you're going to chop things off, you'd better know how to stick them back on. I bet they've had a lot of practice. Anyway, do you think if he'd had a better start in life, he could have become a great hero? His sense of responsibility is very high, so maybe he could write. While Dee was pondering this, Alex laughed and joked. My lord, don't say such ominous things. He sat on the cart with an extremely carefree attitude. If that really happened, the two of you would become enemies in no time. Dee asked naively, why would I have to do that to that idiot? Alex explained forcefully, because you must walk the path of the Demon King. Hearing this, Dee put on an eager expression and said in a pouting voice, what are you talking about? Can't you tell at a glance that I look more like a hero's trusted companion than a demon king's? That one-of-a-kind answer left Alex completely exasperated. You're unbelievable, my lord. Dee sat on the cart, muttering to himself, but if it really did turn out that way, would Deke become the hero of humanity? Alex turned to him and answered decisively, that's impossible, because he's not from Generation O. Dee's eyes widened in confusion. Generation O. Alex nodded in confirmation. Then he began to explain thoroughly. That's right. It's a natural law of this world. The final hero must be born in the 5th generation. Alex recalled a unique detail. A normal person has a child at age 20, and their child has a grandchild at age 20, and so on and so forth. By the time the 5th generation child turns 20, exactly 1 century will have passed, and in that very year, the Demon King descends. That child will declare war on us, and then the cycle of Generation O will begin again. After the long explanation, Alex finally summarized it. Only 1 child from Generation O has the potential to become the hero. Furthermore, a 4th generation kid like Deke has no chance of becoming the hero. Only his child might perhaps. Hearing this, Dee suddenly made a sound which made Alex, sitting beside him, a bit curious and confused. Dee looked up at the sky, his heart filled with many thoughts. Every century when the Demon King wants to invade the human race, a hero is born. That's the law of this world. After this moment of reflection, Dee let out a laugh and exclaimed, "This whole game is ridiculous." Alex, sitting beside him, still watched him with a confused expression. The silence was broken by Alex's serious voice. "My lord, can you tell me now why you ran away and refused to become the Demon King?" Dee sat there like a little old man and asked awkwardly, "Oh, haven't I told you?" He chuckled slyly. "Not yet." Deos, looking confused, raised a hand to his chin. I was wondering why I haven't said anything." Alex, losing his patience, snapped, "What am I supposed to do at a time like this?" Deos looked at Alex hesitantly. Well, it's nothing. I don't want to become the Demon King because..." Just as he finished speaking, Deos saw an airship engulfed in flames, right before his eyes. After observing it carefully for a moment, he exclaimed in awe, "Isn't that an airship?" "Judging by its appearance, it must belong to the royal family, right? It's being attacked by a dragon." "A dragon again? Are they really that easy to find in this world?" "How can this be?" Alex shot to his feet, completely stunned. He had recognized the familiar symbol on the airship, the symbol of the holy fir tree, the symbol of the pure bloodline. Hearing this, Deos couldn't hide his sudden excitement. "The purebloods, really?" Alex nodded gravely. "That's right." He stared intently at the airship and explained, "That's a clan that has produced hundreds of heroes with the noblest of pure blood. I just don't understand why the 2 races, who have been allies for thousands of years, would suddenly turn on each other. Everything that's been happening lately is so confusing." Suddenly, Deos called out, "Hey!" Startled, Alex exclaimed, "What is it?" Deos gave a naive smile and said, "Come on, let's go see what's happening." The fire on the airship raged ever more fiercely. Soldiers quickly worked together to move a large white object. "Be careful. Don't let it catch fire. Hurry up. Damn it. Why is this thing so heavy?" 1, 2, 1, 2. The object was placed on a cart, and the soldiers strained together to pull it. However, the object was so massive that both the soldiers and the cart were buckling under the strain. Seeing this, Patrick furiously bellowed, making the master servant divide perfectly clear. "You idiots, I told you to be careful and not let that thing break." The terrified soldiers could only nod. "Yes, sir." He gritted his teeth, his tone scathing. "These absolute morons." Patrick watched from above, anxious. "Do they have any idea how much this thing is worth?" The soldiers kept straining to move the white object. "Lift it. 1, 2, 1, 2. If you put a single scratch on it, I'll have all of your heads." Suddenly, Patrick heard a strange sound. He sensed something approaching. Patrick looked up and froze, trembling. "We've been spotted." In the sky, a ferocious fire dragon was hurtling toward them. The terrified soldiers screamed, "It's coming!" The dragon flew closer, its mouth full of fire, its glowing eyes fixed on them. Patrick gritted his teeth and roared in frustrated anger. "That beast is after this thing! Stop it at all costs! Archers, mages, prepare to fire!" The soldiers responded with a resounding, "Yes, sir." The soldiers and mages readied their bows and took their positions. The fire dragon continued to close in at lightning speed. Seizing the opportunity, Patrick roared, "Fire!" The soldiers drew their bows, aiming directly at the fire dragon. Then a great power was unleashed. The mages also summoned their ultimate power, aiming for a critical strike against the fire dragon. The combined attacks generated a massive force. An incredibly terrifying force aimed straight for the dragon. The collision shook the very ground. Patrick, still trying to protect the white object, panicked and tried to flee. He was thrown backward, landing sprawled on the ground. Seeing the dragon still circling above, Patrick cursed furiously. "Damn it!" Then he yelled, asking the soldiers, "Where is it? Is it safe?" They checked it carefully and confirmed, "Yes, sir, there are no issues." Hearing their answer, Patrick felt a wave of relief. Thank heavens. He glared up at the sky, watching to see if the dragon would return. The persistent fire dragon stubbornly turned back around. Patrick yelled a warning, "It's coming again." He furiously roared at the soldiers, "That thing hasn't even gone berserk yet. Make sure you shoot it down this time. Everyone take aim." Everyone gripped their weapons, readying their stances. "Yes, sir." The fire dragon accelerated its rage, palpable as it closed in. Patrick watched intently second by second. This is the final blow. In that tense, fiery moment, someone appeared behind Patrick and gave a sharp command, "Hey, move." Before he could say anything else, the person used Patrick's head as a springboard. Clutching his head in pain, he glared to see who it was. Patrick saw a familiar figure. It was none other than Vaziat. Immediately, Vaziat gathered all his strength. Channeling it into a single attack, Camellia Splitter, Patrick watched, stunned, and exclaimed, "Lord Vaziat!" With just that one attack from Vaziat, the dragon was killed on the spot. As the words left his mouth, Vaziat glared and snapped at Patrick. "Are you trying to die? You would have died if you'd been in the way of that attack." "You idiot!" Terrified Patrick stammered, "Lord Vaziat, we were handling it. There was no problem, even though that dragon hadn't even gone berserk. You still managed to slice it in two. You are truly magnificent." He threw something to Patrick and ordered, "A dragon is a dragon. Why did you have to add that hasn't even gone berserk nonsense? Forget it. Now go clean my sword." Patrick nodded eagerly. "Yes, sir," Vaziat added. "And another thing, clean this mess up and call for reinforcements." "Yes, sir." He glared, his voice turning to steel as he warned, "If that object is revealed for any reason at all, your head will no longer be attached to your neck." Patrick trembled and nodded obediently. Yes, sir." He then let out a confident laugh. "You can be 100% assured, my lord." Dio stepped forward, his voice low and serious. "Is this what you were talking about?" Meanwhile, Deos and Alex had just arrived on the scene. They watched from above as the soldiers carefully transported the white object. Patrick quickly noticed their presence and snarled, "Who are you?" Without a word, Deos brought his foot down and stomped on the rope, model. The object inside the white cloth slowly came into view. It was another dragon. Seeing this, Deus couldn't help but be surprised. "What is this?" "You said it was an item, but it turns out to be another dragon." This left him stunned, his eyes wide with astonishment. Seeing that the dragon remained motionless, Deus raised a question. "Its eyes, they seem normal." So there are still normal dragons that haven't been infected by the parasite. After piecing things together, Deus realized in shock, so that's why that little dragon was chasing us. To save its mother. Alex nodded in agreement. "I believe so." A cunning glint appeared in Deus's eyes, his tone piercing through Vasios' scheme. "Aren't you supposed to be in a truce with the dragons? You're part of the hero clan, aren't you? I smell a conspiracy here." Vasios gritted his teeth in fury. "Looks like we'll have to clean up a few more bodies." Alex, sensing trouble, whispered a warning in Deus's ear. "My lord, why are you provoking him?" He didn't seem to care, just flashing a provocative smile. "Aren't you curious about the skills of a direct descendant?" Vasios couldn't hold back and ordered, "Take care of them." Tatch didn't hesitate. "Yes, sir." He gripped his sword tightly with a smug, cunning look. "I don't know who you are, but you've seen something you shouldn't have. Men take them down." The soldiers charged without hesitation, swords in hand, surrounding Deus and Alex. "Yes, sir." Deus noticed. As Vasios turned and walked away, he couldn't help but wonder, he's just leaving like that. His face flushed red with anger and disappointment. "I had such high hopes for a direct descendant of a hero like him. How boring. Alex, kill them all." But Alex beside him didn't follow Deus's order. Instead, he gently advised, "But Sir Deus." He subtly reminded him, "Aren't we supposed to be playing the part of the hero's allies?" Deus casually dismissed it. "What does that have to do with anything?" Alex patiently explained further. "Wouldn't it be bad to fight a direct descendant while we're allies of the hero?" Hearing this, Deus's eyes widened and his jaw dropped. Now that you mention it. Thinking back, is he a holly like Deke? Alex nodded in confirmation and continued to explain. Yes, the hero clan's names are always holly, plus the name of a type of tree. It signifies that they are blessed. A question still lingered in Deus's mind. Was the first hero a tree or something? Why are they so obsessed with tree names? Alex calmly clarified. They use the name of the most commonly grown tree in their territory. Deus was still curious. What's that about? It's not like it's Arbor Day or something. How ridiculous. Tatch, standing below, had been listening to their conversation and was boiling with rage. Those bastards are looking down on us. What are you doing? Kill them now. The mages began to cast their first spells. Then the soldiers drew their bows, aiming straight at Deus and Alex. A moment later, both sources of power combined and flew forward. But Deus had already appeared from out of nowhere. Standing right behind the enemy, his voice smug and arrogant. They're attacking us, aren't they? Let's finish them quickly. They might wake Deke up. Seeing them teleport, Tatch was stunned. When did they get over there? Alex began to act, but still asked Deus for confirmation just to be sure. Killing them isn't hard, but are you sure about this? Deus complained irritably. Why do you keep asking? Alex, dissatisfied, turned to rebuke him. Didn't I just say, no, aren't you the hero's ally? Deus was so angry steam was practically coming out of his ears. So, you want me to beg them for forgiveness and let us go? Alex pointed upwards, his tone perfectly calm. It's probably too late to ask for forgiveness. Not after we've seen a secret this big. Deuce's face turned red with anger as he repeatedly yelled. Then what do you want me to do? You pain in the neck. Alex sighed in exasperation. Can't we just run away? Hearing this, Deus shot back sarcastically. Are you scared of them? He immediately refuted it. I am Alex. Deuce taunted him further. Yeah, right. Alex the coward. Listening to their conversation from below, Tatch felt like he was about to explode. You bastards! How long are you going to mess around? Tatch shouted the order without hesitation. Kill them immediately. The soldiers roared in unison. Yes, sir. Seeing the situation, Alex's eyes narrowed and his voice grew stern. I don't want to get involved with the hero clan. He scowled, then conceded, but I guess it can't be helped. And with that, Alex summoned a terrifying power. The energy flared violently, engulfing everything in a blinding light, as agonizing screams echoed out. While the fierce battle raged on elsewhere, Deke's carriage remained parked peacefully on a lush green meadow. He was still sound asleep, a gentle breeze drifting by. Deus and Alex strode forward majestically. Just then, a mage charged, his sharp voice shouting, Fire Fist! Alex narrowed his eyes and glanced over. How barbaric! Then he summoned a brilliant blinding power. A monster roared loudly. Deus rushed in to aid Alex, causing several soldiers to cry out in agony. Alex's cold, sharp eyes weren't finished yet. A burst of power erupted as he accelerated, rushing past the soldiers, leaving them no time to react. The soldiers immediately regrouped and charged at Alex again. With a single move, Alex wiped out almost all of them. The soldiers were beaten to a pulp. The fierce battle was thick with the smell of blood. Alex's figure glided past lightly, but left behind a brutal, haunting image. An axe swung down and a soldier was felled. Suddenly, another soldier rushed forward, drew his bow, and fired at him. Alex caught the arrow decisively. With a single fluid motion, fierce tiger shot, he effortlessly raised his hand. Immediately after, he threw the arrow straight back at the soldier. Seeing the situation growing more dire, the mage stepped in to provide support. The mage waved his arms and legs, then loudly summoned a thunder strike. Facing this new technique, Alex calmly gave the command, Open! The two sources of power collided, creating a brilliant explosion that seemed to tear space apart. However, the mage's power grew to overwhelm Alex's attack. Thousands of lightning bolts rained down relentlessly. At that moment, a mouthful of thick, dark blood trickled from the corner of Alex's mouth. Deote, watching from behind, couldn't help but worry about Alex's condition. Alex steered his voice low and sharp as he uttered a cold, steely phrase. Killing you is still the most interesting thing. Seeing this, Tatchich broke out in a terrified cold sweat. Who are they? The man was so scared his legs trembled, unable to stand steady, and he collapsed to the ground. Just at that critical moment, Vaziat charged forward majestically, sword in hand, summoning his power as he moved. Without hesitation, he aimed straight down at Alex and shouted, Phantasm strike! The moment he finished speaking, a terrifying earthquake erupted, splitting the ground and sending rocks flying everywhere. Vaziat's feet landed lightly on the ground. He held his sword, staring intently at Alex's position. Vaziat stared back with a mocking tone as dust swirled around them. Be gentle, won't you? But he was mistaken. Alex and Dio were still safe, standing proudly on a large rock and looking down. Seeing this, Vaziat couldn't help but be surprised. Who are you people? You can easily kill my clan soldiers and even dodge my sword. Are you a bloodkin from the Black Blade clan? Dio clicked his tongue, shook his head, and replied, Wrong. So anyone who's strong is a bloodkin, is that it? I did. Use your brain a little, will you? Vaziat's eyes turned cold again. Then, are you dragons? He gripped the sword in his hand tightly. He stated it with certainty. Whatever, I just need to eliminate the witnesses. Hearing those steely words, Dio couldn't help but let out a small laugh. He glared a smirk playing on his lips and let out a sarcastic remark, Kill me! That's completely impossible. You fool! Seeing Dio's attitude, Vaziat's eyes widened in shock. The moment he saw the smile on Dio's face, a source of light suddenly flashed within him. A source of power was silently activating, preparing to erupt. Something had awakened deep inside Vaziat's body. His body began to undergo strange transformations. Vaziat couldn't hold back a loud scream as his body seemed to be going through a painful transformation. Vaziat's piercing scream echoed on and on. Seeing this, Alex frowned and wondered to himself, has he awakened? The power inside Vaziat's body surged. Tachich woke up from the pile of ashes and called out, Lord Vaziat! By now, Vaziat's transformation was complete. The new power was being absorbed and brought under his control. Vaziat reappeared with a completely different look and overwhelming power. After witnessing Vaziat's new appearance, Dio stared with wide-eyed amazement. Now what are you trying to show off? Immediately after, he took a running start and charged straight at Vaziat. At that moment, Dio and Alex joined forces, rushing forward to have a proper fight with Vaziat. His two eyes widened, glowing brightly. Seeing this, Dio scoffed and gave a backhanded compliment. Looks like you've changed a little, huh? Hearing this, Vaziat, enraged, gathered all his strength, clenched his fist, and swung it straight at him. A fierce battle erupted. The ground shook, and rocks flew everywhere amidst a screen of white smoke. Dio landed in a lush green meadow. He stood proudly with his hands on his hips and called out mockingly, Hey, you idiot, you're still too slow. Hurry up, the witness is about to fall asleep. Just then, Alex suddenly spoke up. Lord Dio. He bared his teeth in an extremely fake smile. Shouldn't we be going? Dio, annoyed and irritated, retorted, But I was just starting to have a little fun. Why won't you let me play? Don't tell me you're scared of those heroes. Before he could finish his sentence, Alex decisively confirmed, That's right. He kept baring his teeth in that smile and, bluntly admitted, It's true, I am a little scared of him. Dio narrowed his eyes in confusion. What? That's disgusting. At that moment, Vaziat summoned the power of a raging storm and charged straight at Dio. The moment their eyes met, he softly but firmly gave the command, Break. Dio frowned and then stated firmly, You can't fool my eyes, Alex. You could easily kill this bastard. So why are you hesitating? As soon as he finished speaking, a terrifying technique descended, Phantasm Strike. Vaziat immediately charged with his sword, attacking Dio. He leisurely mocked, I already told you. His face showed a look of arrogance, his voice laced with mockery. That's impossible. His eyes held a cold indifference, mixed with a bit of contempt. You can't even touch a single hair on my head. Hearing these taunts, Vaziat, enraged, charged and attacked him again. Another battle exploded. Vaziat advanced and growled, Are you a bloodkin? Dio leaped into the air, did a flip, and landed lightly on the ground. He dodged Vaziat's attack with fluid agility. Do I look like a bloodkin? The moment he finished speaking, a terrifying explosion rang out. Rocks flew everywhere as fierce red flames erupted. Dio casually let out a bored sigh. He calmly stuck both hands in his pockets. Then he fluidly dodged Vaziat's attack. You're so boring. I had high hopes since you carry the blood of the former hero, but you're nothing more than a slightly faster fly. I'm too lazy to even kill you. The ones who died at the hands of people like you before me were simply a bunch of useless trash. After a moment's hesitation, Dio stomped on the ground, sending rocks flying everywhere. As if summoning an opportunity with all his might, Dio's eyes widened his gaze as sharp as a knife. He roared fiercely, "Perish!" Alex also moved to support Dio, his aura crackling with killing intent. He lunged forward with surging power, creating a fury of light to fight Vaziat. Alex raised his hand high and uttered a summons, "Pierce him," as he stood before him. As Vaziat stared intently at Deus, then roared, "Shadowless strike!" Seeing this, Deus was stunned and exclaimed, "Alex!" Alex's eyes narrowed as he glanced towards Vasius. Seeing this, he asked bluntly, "What are you doing?" Alex said nothing, merely focusing his power to strike Vasius with a single devastating blow. The soulless look in Vasius's eyes vanished, replaced by his original conscious gaze. Exhausted, he collapsed at Alex's feet. Deus, watching from behind, was utterly bewildered. "You knocked him out instead of killing him." When Alex didn't answer, he grew a little worried. "What's wrong?" Seeing him remain silent, Deus pressed on. "Before you kept trying to avoid him, whining that you were scared of him and all that, and now you stand in my way to save him." He stared straight at him with a determined gaze. "Explain yourself. Explain your reasons to me now." Alex bowed his head, his voice full of remorse. "Forgive me, my lord. My concern does not lie with this young hero." A trickle of blood appeared at the corner of Alex's mouth. His tone became sharp and serious, but with the will of the people of this world. Hearing this, Deus frowned, his heart filled with doubt. The will isn't causing chaos, destruction, and slaughter in this world. Your specialty. Alex stared intently at him and explained, "That can only be done on a small scale. Rumor has it that if the Lord merely stands on this ground, this entire world will tremble. They will swarm like an endless plague of cockroaches. Even a baby in its cradle will crawl forward with a knife. That's the kind of creatures humans are." Deuce, horrified, immediately retorted, "Let that swarm of cockroaches come. However many there are, I'll burn them all at once. I've been thinking about this for a long time. But I still can't figure anything out." He glanced at Vaziat's body on the ground and declared confidently, "How could these weaklings possibly defeat me? It's completely absurd." Alex said nothing, only offering a bitter smile. Deus was stunned, completely baffled by his attitude. Just then, Alex turned his head to look back, startling Deus slightly. A sliver of doubt rose in his heart, and he asked seriously, "So there's something else?" Something I don't know about?" The reply was still Alex's calm face and bitter smile. Deus stood with a relaxed posture and asked gently, "And I'll only find that out in another 25 years. Only then did Alex nod and smile. Yes. Seeing that smile, an indescribable emotion welled up in his eyes. "You won't tell me even if I ask, will you? At most. It'll just be some nonsense about the will of the world or something." "Right." Alex just smiled and nodded in agreement. "You guessed correctly. So let's just go back." At that moment, Deus began to transform, his voice ringing out. "So what if I—" His eyes grew as sharp as blades, his steely voice echoing, "Kill this bastard right here." What would happen? This will that you fear, you've made me quite interested in defeating it. Will a god descend to earth or something? Alex shook his head and gently reminded him, "I don't know either, but I know one thing for sure." He hesitated for a moment, then recounted seriously, "Your dream of becoming a member of a hero's party, living the life of the world's top 2%, will become meaningless, because you will have to eliminate every hero in the world and destroy it to end everything. Forget being a demon lord. You'll be the most exemplary demon lord in history, attacking humans before the heroes can rise. That might be a good idea, don't you think?" Alex walked over and raised his foot, about to kick Vaziat a few times. "Right, I'll handle him myself. The Lord can rest now." "No." Seeing his attitude, Deus couldn't suppress a look of pleased relief. "Alex, you can't take a joke, can you? I was just kidding. Demon lords and wars have nothing to do with me anymore, so there's no need for me to get my hands dirty. Are we just going to leave him like this? I just need to take care of him, and everything will be settled." "Right. Hurry up and open the gate." Gate. As soon as the word was spoken, a spatial gate opened. Deus stepped through first. Seeing that Alex wasn't following, he asked, bewildered, "Aren't you coming?" "I'll be right behind you after I've cleaned up our traces here." Please go on ahead and rest, my lord. A strange, inexplicable feeling rose in Deus's heart. Is your hand okay? He shook his head and made an excuse to push him through the spatial gate. A wound like this will heal instantly once I return to the underworld. Please don't worry and just go back first. Deus closed his eyes and took his word for it. Really? Be quick about it. Alex bowed his head respectfully, wishing him a safe journey. The moment he left, Alex walked step by step towards Vaziat. As soon as he got close, Vaziat summoned his power. Creating a new whirlwind, Alex glared, leaning close to his face, and warned, "You damn little bastard! You dare strike me, one of the 7 counts of the demon world. With that filthy light, with my own hands, 25 years from now, I will take the lives of your descendants and end the bloodline of the Holiasha family. You all this way." Jeek was still sound asleep, oblivious to what was happening. Suddenly a figure approached, staring down at the sleeping Jiki. It was Dio, who had just returned. Seeing him sleeping so peacefully, he couldn't help but smile. He must have been exhausted, passing out in the cold like this. The scene on the lush green hill with the wind blowing gently passed by in silence. A fleeting question arose in Diot's eyes. What on earth is supposed to happen in 25 years? These rules are such a pain. Just you wait, that day 25 years from now will never come. But still, why are those dragons so messy? That foolish dragon. Does she even have a clue what's happening to her children? Suddenly, someone descended from the sky right where he was. The dragon you speak of. Surely you don't mean me. Just as Diot turned his head to look, he saw it was Kim Long. Diot's expression froze, completely devoid of emotion. As a matter of fact, it is precisely you. Diot glanced sideways and asked Kim Long quietly, "Have you been following me this whole time?" She calmly explained, "I attached one of my scales to you." He looked bewildered and wary, asking, "You mean a piece of you?" Diot then took the opportunity to probe about something. "About that. If you want to report them, I can be your witness." Hearing this, Kim Long was stunned in disbelief. You're making me laugh. Have a demon lord like you act as a witness. Hello, I am a demon lord. I stopped a hero who was trying to break the peace treaty by attacking dragons. As if the humans would ever believe a word you say. Diot sat in the carriage and complained dejectedly, "Why does everyone think so poorly of demons?" Kim Long immediately shot back, "If you're not so bad, then why do you try to destroy the world once every 100 years, huh?" After hearing that, he rested his chin on his hand and pondered, "You're right. Why do we keep trying to destroy the world? Why don't they just live peacefully in the demon world?" Hearing this, Kim Long retorted furiously, What kind of stupid question is that?" And the one asking it is a demon lord, no less. Diot picked his nose and said tauntingly, "You shouldn't talk so much, you simpleton. You're just standing here idly chatting with me while your descendants are being slaughtered. They even call those children merchandise. I'm sure this isn't the first time they've done it. Why do you think they hunt dragons to craft equipment? What else? Your bodies are very valuable. They even slaughter innocent young dragons." After a moment's pause, Dio let out a soft laugh and suggested, "Isn't that a blatant disregard for the treaty?" After hearing this, Kim Long made a direct proposal. Then, "Will you do something for me?" He immediately replied, bewildered, "Do what?" Without hesitation, she answered bluntly, "Revenge. Can you help me take revenge on the filthy race that is slaughtering my descendants?" Upon hearing this, Diot fell silent, looking away in thought. A moment later, he asked bluntly and decisively, "Why should I do that for you? You can do it yourself." Kim Long stated frankly, "I can't. If a dragon leaves its territory and enters the human world, humans have the right to kill it. It's just like your century-long battles. That is the law of the world." Kim Long's eyes became serious without a single trace of jest as she concluded, "So, no matter how many of my descendants die, as long as humans exist in this world, I can do nothing." Hearing this, Diot vehemently shouted in protest, "What kind of damn law is that? What kind of idiot made that rule?" Kim Long's eyes flashed. As he was speaking, Diot's body suddenly felt strange. Diot had been sitting casually in the carriage, but by some force he was thrown to the ground. He raised a hand to feel and was stunned with horror. "I'm bleeding. What is this terrifying pressure?" Kim Long slowly approached and explained gently, "That is a rule of the world, the binding of the plane where you and I exist. Diot slowly got to his feet and replied nonchalantly, "First, you set up these absurd rules, and when I call them out, you punish me for it." Hearing his sharp, serious words, Kim Long was stunned speechless for 5 seconds. A moment later, Deo couldn't take it anymore and began to scream. "That's enough, you bastard! If you feel so righteous and superior, then go make rules in your own world and live there. Why do you have to set rules in our world and force us to follow them unconditionally?" Kim Long suddenly burst out laughing and praised him. "Not bad to endure that punishment with a mortal body. You may look a bit dense, but you are a demon lord after all." Diot smirked and warned, "Watch your mouth." "You simpleton." Kim Long brushed aside the trivial matters and got straight to the point. "But why? Why don't you want to be the Demon King? You know I'm very excited about this. You are the first person to refuse to become the Demon King in the last 666 centuries. I bet the heavenly law is having a headache over you defying the rules." Seeing her fake artificial smile, Diot wondered, "Why do you look so happy? Deep down, you've wanted to get rid of this law for a long time, too, haven't you?" It was as if he had hit a nerve with Kim Long. She stammered in a fluster, trying to deny it. "What are you talking about, you idiot? I'm just curious because you're the first one who's ever dared to do something like this." "That's right. Be wary of the heavenly law. You might be safe for now, but in 25 more days, that day will come. They will want to eliminate you," Diot said bluntly and decisively. "They want to eliminate me. You think I'm afraid of their petty tricks? If they want to, I'll welcome them any time." Diot was shocked to hear the tone in Kim Long's voice. "Anyway, where's my answer? Why don't you want to become the Demon King? What reason do you have for wanting to break the cycle? After 665 centuries, I'm curious what your motive is for giving it up." After hearing this, Diot answered frankly, "Why, well, it's nothing major." A bit of hesitation rose in his heart. "I don't want to become the Demon King because—" Before Diot could finish his sentence, Kim Long saw Alex step out of a spatial gate. He stepped out and casually urged Diot, "Let's go, master. I've finished cleaning up that mess." Only then did Alex notice Kim Long's presence. "You've been with the golden divine dragon this whole time." Seeing that Alex had ruined her plan to get information, Kim Long got angry. "Of all the times to show up, you had to come at this exact critical moment, didn't you?" Alex walked over and in a gentle tone asked, "Are you well, esteemed divine dragon?" And before he could finish, Diot quickly cut him off. "Stop talking. Open a gate home for me quickly." Alex obediently complied. "Yes, I understand." Seeing Diot about to up and leave without finishing his answer, Kim Long was not pleased. "Hey, finish telling me before you go." "Tell me the reason." Without hesitation, Diot climbed into the carriage and lay down next to Deke. "I'll get criticized if I keep stalling by talking to you, so let's save it for another time." Furious, she yelled, "What the hell are you talking about?" He waved his hand dismissively. "Go on, go home now." Kim Long lowered her voice and called out, "Hey, Demon King." She stood there with a sad expression. "If you can't get revenge for me, at least expose them. Let them know how many heroes were involved in this incident. How many innocent children were brutally murdered. Even in the human world, if they continue to act like this, they will violate the treaty, and there will be organizations of other races who hate humans that will also step up to deal with them." Diot raised his hand and answered bluntly, "Triple the price. Because your case this time is quite difficult. I'll have to charge 3 times my usual fee." Kim Long shouted in astonishment, "What?" Seeing his indifferent attitude, Kim Long was fuming. "You really are a cunning bastard." Diot, half asleep, replied nonchalantly, "Yup, because I'm a demon. You can choose not to hire me and just let the children live in fear of being taken every day or whatever." Seeing she couldn't change his mind, Kim Long reluctantly agreed. "Fine, I'll pay triple." Hearing that, Diot perked up wide awake. "Deal." "Thank you, my dear client." With that, Kim Long performed a spell to summon it. "Here, take this." Diot accepted it with a bewildered look. "What is this aura?" Kim Long explained frankly, "It's a spell that can help you hide your demonic energy. Those heroes and blood soldiers all react to your demonic energy. Now you don't have to worry about that anymore." Diot nodded eagerly. "I see. You can get lost now. Alex, let's go." He nodded without hesitation. "Yes, my lord." Over on her side, Kim Long was absolutely furious. "That bastard." And So Dio and Alex teleported away with their things, leaving Kim Long standing there, all alone in a desolate grassy field. Kim Long sat silently under the moon and wondered, "Am I doing the right thing? Time will tell." The scene changes. DOT and the others have just set foot in a new land, surrounded by beautiful and extravagant ancient city architecture. Every magnificent structure here offered a new and eye-opening experience. DOT's eyes widened in amazement as he exclaimed, "How do they have so much money to build a city like this?" Alex, walking beside him, kindly explained, "That's because they are a hero clan with a history of 60,000 years, the Holyachia family." Just then, seeing someone who looked unusual, Diot fearfully clung to Alex, whining, "He's a hero, so why does he look like that?" The young man nodded and spoke up, "My apologies, sir, for looking like this. Alex just told him to get out." "Don't say things like that right in front of other people. Why would Jeek rebel just because he's angry? Why?" Alex gave an awkward laugh and tried to explain, "Never mind, I already explained it before. Once a hero's clan becomes famous, a lot of castles and nobles will want to sponsor them, because becoming a patron to a hero is basically like indirectly fighting for world peace. Besides, dragon hunts like the one last night are a pretty big source of income, you know." Honestly, everyone knows about that, but no one dares to say it. It's a very difficult thing to bring up, but they still think it's the right thing to do. Dee, confused, immediately asked why that was, and Alex began to explain thoroughly. Because humans are at war with the nobility, the Dragon Clan has no choice but to help them. If humanity fails, then the Dragon Clan will be the next victims. After he explained it, Deus observed and concluded that dragon bodies are indeed a pretty popular item in the demon world. Alex nodded in agreement. Extremely popular, in fact. Once he understood, Deus became excited and curious. So this is something the Dragon Clan is forced to do, support humanity. Alex nodded. "That's right. That's why we're here. Are you suspecting that the Holyachia family and the others are illegally hunting dragons, even though it would affect the treaty between humans and dragons?" Deuce immediately asked the young man from earlier, "Your family doesn't poach dragons, huh?" The man was taken aback. "Huh, you have to be G rank just to get near a dragon's nest." After hearing that, Deus thought for a moment and agreed. "Right. If someone like you could hunt dragons, then any stray dog or cat on the street could probably do it too, Jeek." A little worried, Alex went to help the young man up. "What should we do here, master?" Deus crossed his arms arrogantly and ordered, "Jeek, get a hold of yourself. I have something I need to do here." After a moment of thought, Deus realized what this was. It was like a secret operation, an investigation into illegal dragon poaching. His face filled with excitement. "All right, let's go." "Wait, master." Alex quickly turned his head. "Jeek might be fine, but weren't our identities exposed from that fight with the nobles? Since yesterday, shouldn't we disguise ourselves a bit?" Hearing that, Deus's excitement fizzled out. He gave him a puzzled look. Before long, the three of them had changed their appearances. They simply changed clothes. Deus confidently led the way. "Now we can go." Faced with their new appearances, Alex was stunned, his eyes completely blank. "Maybe I should just go home." Deuce strolled along, looking thrilled and excited. "All right, let's go." GK looked awkward as he called out, "Lord Deus." He was so nervous he was sweating buckets, but he still forced a smile. Just a heads up. But it would be better to act a bit more normally. It's not that you're unworthy of being a hero or anything." Deus accepted the advice without a moment's hesitation. "All right. That shouldn't be too hard." Jeek's face lit up. "Really?" Deus was now standing before the magnificent, massive mansion. Hero of heroes, candidate for the final hero. The one who will become #1 Jigpan Holybeat is here. "Open the door, you bastards!" I was going to force the door open, but I ended up resolving it with words. I did a great job, didn't I? Finally, Deus's group was allowed inside the mansion. Jeek's eyes scanned the luxurious gold-plated items all around, and he couldn't help but be amazed. His face suddenly flushed with excitement. "This is amazing!" He suddenly glanced in another direction, as if he'd just noticed something. Seeing the portrait of Hassan displayed in the center of the room, Jeeki couldn't help but be stunned. "That's the person from my textbooks. The final hero of the 52nd generation who fought the Demon King for 13 days straight and emerged victorious. Hassan Pan Holyachia VII. He's on a completely different level than me. It's embarrassing to even call myself a hero like him. Deus sat with his feet casually propped up on the table. Looking perfectly natural and relaxed, he said, "Don't worry so much. Aren't all heroes equal? No need to be scared." Jeek forced a smile. "Well, in theory, but—" Just then Solucer quietly approached from behind and spoke. "You are correct. All heroes are equal. However, not all heroes possess the same skills. It is so. God only bestows the most sacred bloodline upon those who can bear its weight. God knows who is fit to become a true hero. Welcome, hero of the Holy Beat family and your companions. I am Salutpan Holietia, the third-generation hero of this century. I have since retired and now manage this estate." Deus glanced at him, looking confused. "I thought that guy was going to be the one to show up." Probably his father. The final hero born from the 5th generation of the century represents the laws of the world. The title they are granted is an honor for their entire bloodline. One of the children of the 4th-generation heroes, like Jeek and Vaziet, born to one of the holy maidens, will become the final hero of this era of change. Jeek immediately stood up and bowed politely. "Oh, hello, I'm Jeek Pan Holybeat. It's an honor to meet you. These are my two friends, Lord Deus and Lord Alex." Solucer replied, looking unsurprised. "I know." Jeek was stunned. "Huh." Solucer continued. "I know about you and your group. I'm a bit late because I had to confirm things with the Hero Management Department. It seems that somehow you've managed to gather your companions. I had heard you'd given up on the race to become a true hero." Jeek scratched his head, embarrassed. He gave an embarrassed smile and replied, "I'm not surprised you'd think that. But I haven't given up yet." Solus carefully observed Deus's group with a very stern expression. He noted Deus's casual demeanor. Then he thought to himself, a wealthy merchant paying to be the companion of a hero from a fallen family, a shallow and common tale for those fame-seekers in this day and age. Solist then asked, "So what brings you to the Holietia family?" Deus answered bluntly, his expression nonchalant. "Nothing special, just a strange rumor going around. So we just wanted to confirm." Jike, sitting beside him, hastily whispered for Deus to mind his manners. Solut glared angrily and said, "Your tone doesn't quite suit your station." Deuce's voice rang out stubbornly. "I thought we were supposed to be talking as heroes, weren't we? Or do you wish to be treated like a high noble even though you no longer hold any title?" Hearing this, Jeek's face went pale with fear. "Sir Deus, please stop." But unexpectedly Solut chuckled, leaving everyone momentarily stunned. He then began to share his own story. He warned Deus in a stern voice, "You're certainly blunt. I was once just like you, unaware of my station, acting on my own whims, looking down on everyone as if I could defeat the Demon King all by myself. But you should be careful. It's the same in any era. There's always a taller mountain." Jeek quickly chimed in to diffuse the tension. "Of course, sir. Everyone knows of Sir Solut's fame, a D-rank hero." Solut then sat in the opposite chair and started the conversation. "So, about the companions of this young hero, what is this rumor you mentioned?" Deus immediately got straight to the point. The rumor I heard is that you people have high-quality materials here, and some of them are what we're looking for." Hearing this, Solut chuckled softly and issued a veiled threat. "You may have the coin, but I'm not so sure you have enough for what you seek. We of the Holietia family only deal in the highest quality materials. Things like black stone, the hide of a red killen, or the mana core of the Lich King from the Hugian War. Or something like the heart of a white-headed giant from the Hogan mountain range," he thought smugly to himself after putting on a fearsome display. "How about that little man scared yet?" However, Deus's reply was completely unexpected. "I don't need such trivial things." His eyes widened in stunned silence. "Huh." Deuce's eyes suddenly gleamed as he grinned with relish. "I heard you have something of a higher grade than a giant's heart." Solut said, his voice hesitant and confused. "There's only one thing of a higher grade than a giant's heart: dragons." Deuce decisively placed a tied sack on the table. "Exactly. Our hero is still a novice, so he needs an item to bolster his strength. We're looking to craft a set of armor from dragon parts." Solut was stunned to see the sack was filled to the brim with incandescent crimson lava stones. "This is blood crimson lava stone from the demon realm." How did he obtain such a rare item? Blood Crimson Lava Stone is a common rock found in the volcanic regions of the Demon Realm. Solute quickly spoke up. Don't you know? Dragons and humans currently have a peace treaty. Hunting for dragon parts violates both the law and that treaty. We of the Holy Asia family do not engage in such illegal activities. Instead, I have other items that are just as rare. What do you say? Why not make a suit of armor from those materials instead? Deuce immediately turned to Alex. Let's go, Alex. It seems this place doesn't have what we need. But I wonder, whose soldiers were those I saw transporting a dragon by airship? I'm certain I saw the Holy Asia family crest on it. Salute's voice suddenly became extremely tense. You saw something, didn't you? Deuce recounted without hesitation, a look of relish on his face. It's just that we're rushing to join the hero race. We're rookies who got a late start, you see. We've been running all over the place looking for items to catch up. And when you're rushing around like that, you end up seeing things you're not supposed to see out there. Salute glared, his voice turning grave. Is that so? How unfortunate. You should have been more careful. Deuce grinned widely and gave a long-winded explanation full of hidden meaning. It may take a long time to build a tower, but it only takes a single moment. One mistake for it to all come crashing down. We're new here, so we don't really know how things work in this kingdom. Wouldn't it be understandable if we were to make a few mistakes? Who knows? Maybe if I'm in a bad mood, I might just happen to spread a rumor that the long-standing hero families are monopolizing all the best things for themselves, regardless of the law. At the very least, you must have something to keep this mouth shut. And so? Their gazes clashed like lightning. Jeek, his face pale, hurriedly tried to interrupt. Excuse me. But Salute suddenly burst out laughing. Very well. This time I'll be the one asking the questions. Have you ever heard of a masked hero who suddenly appeared and defeated countless dragons? Deuce replied nonchalantly while Jeek was drenched in a nervous sweat. What of it? Salute smirked as if he'd found his opponent's weakness. He glanced at the lagoon placed on the floor below and spoke in a provocative tone. I don't know if this is a coincidence, but the lagoon shield you're carrying is made from the materials of a blue dragon and a black dragon that the masked hero defeated. D-Earth stared at him and asked inquisitively, how did you recognize the lagoon shield? Salute's face suddenly darkened, his voice firm and resolute. I know of every item of rare grade and above. From its color and shape, that is definitely an S-rank lagoon, a special one with scales from a blue and black dragon. I have never seen a lagoon like that in the list of treasures on this continent, which means it must have been secretly created only recently. D-Earth was silently surprised, thinking to himself, oh ho, not a bad eye. Salute quickly added with a very serious expression, your name is D-Earth, correct? It seems you're the one leading this group, not that young hero. So I will speak with you. I don't know what your relationship is with the masked hero, but if you happen to meet him, please tell him this for me. Because he has killed so many dragons, the main source of materials for certain powerful people is being affected. However, D-Earth's expression remained perfectly calm as he listened intently to his words. Solute then warned of the potential consequences. Therefore, some high-ranking members within the major guilds who are deeply involved in this business will soon make a move against the masked hero, and everyone associated with him too. Jeek sat huddled in his chair, his face just as pale. So scary. Salute then bluntly stated his view. A treasure like the lagoon should not fall into the hands of a declining F-rank family. The number of legendary items must be strictly managed, whether for beastmen or humans. Rarity is what gives an item its value and renown. Also, we don't know where you heard those ridiculous rumors, but a prestigious family like ours would not engage in illegal transactions, like dragon parts. If you need low-grade materials for small items befitting your hero, you can come back here anytime. Now, rookie, I have some business to attend to. Farewell. He then coldly turned and left with a very grave expression, a complete contrast to Jeek's anxious and fearful look. D-Earth's face remained perfectly calm, showing no reaction at all. After leaving the mansion, D-Earth spoke up annoyed. Are all heroes like that? I know it's a little strange coming from me, but is that guy an idiot? Jeek hesitated and replied, don't. D-Earth glanced at the luxurious mansion before them and immediately came to a conclusion. So in short, the nobles are working together so they can hunt dragons and monopolize dragon materials. They beat down all the merchants who aren't in their alliance to monopolize the trade. Alex also spoke up, confirming that's exactly right. The most important thing for a hero is their equipment. It seems they've controlled the supply of item crafting materials, which means they can also control other heroes. That must be why. Jeek's face suddenly became gloomy and sad as he said, Lord Solut, I really thought he was an upright and fair person. It can't be that all the heroes I admire are like that, right? D-Earth turned to glance at Alex and smiled with satisfaction. Humans are so rotten. Looking back, we seem pretty decent compared to them, don't we? Alex just closed his eyes and smiled faintly without saying a word. D-Earth continued with great amusement. It's no surprise they won 665 times when facing them, huh? Alex's smile now became strained and full of tension. D-Earth immediately walked over, put his arm around Jeek's shoulder, and said cheerfully, Anyway, congratulations, you've reached your goal. Didn't you hear the higher-ups of that organization want to pursue and find the masked hero? Jeek screamed, his face pale and tear-streaked. That's right. They're probably all from D-rank families. What do I do now, Lord D-Earth? If I get caught, I'm finished. D-Earth put a hand to his chin in thought, then offered encouragement. Even if they bring a whole horde, it's no big deal for me. But it's still annoying. Just focus on the business. Our shop will be overflowing with weapons, so we'll let the masked hero lay low for a while so they can't find him. Jeek cried out in alarm. What? D-Earth quickly raised a finger and said, Tonight, let's finish one last thing. Jeek replied, bewildered. Tonight? D-Earth's eyes suddenly flashed with a brilliant red light. He raised his fingers and said in a low, chilling tone, There are a few things we have to put an end to. Continue killing the rotten noble family Holia. Tia and their dragon poaching gang. We'll tear them to pieces. Before them night had fallen with the faint moonlight shining in the sky. D-Earth's eyes suddenly widened as he looked ahead in great surprise. He then said in a sycophantic tone, The Holiatia family even has a lake in their castle. I'm so jealous. Jeek suddenly raised his hand and spoke up. Lord D-Earth, I have a small question. D-Earth quickly turned around and asked, What is it? Jeek then asked, his face filled with worry and concern. What are we doing here? Are you planning to secretly infiltrate this place and bring out a dragon corpse hidden somewhere in the castle as proof of their poaching? That's almost like stealing. D-Earth pointed at Jeek and replied bluntly, Exactly. Very smart. What else? Jeek asked curiously. Considering we're sneaking into the castle. But now, aren't we just brazenly walking into the center of the castle? The firm footsteps of the patrol guards suddenly rushed straight towards D-Earth. Seeing this, Jiki couldn't help but be startled and shocked. He panicked to the point of feeling dizzy. Sir D-Earth, it's the patrol. We have to hide. No, we're caught. Two patrol guards suddenly stopped in front of them, staring intently with stern eyes. Even though Jeek was hiding behind D-Earth, he was still so scared he was drenched in sweat. What do we do now, Sir D-Earth? However, the patrol guards said nothing and quietly walked on. They just passed right by D-Earth and Jeek with a calm and indifferent demeanor. Jeek quickly smiled gleefully and said, So you already used an invisibility spell? D-Earth continued walking, raised his hand and replied, Correct. Jeek smiled faintly, his cheeks suddenly blushing with an admiring expression. D-Earth urged him, Hurry up. Jeek quickly ran to catch up. Wait for me. In a moment, a magnificent, luxurious mansion appeared ahead. Jeek entered awkwardly, looking lost and confused. Majestic towers rose under the dim light. Along both sides of the path were intricately carved benches. Jeek, panting, hurriedly followed in D-Earth's footsteps. He spoke up worriedly. Sir D-Earth, it seems they really aren't keeping any dragons here. What do we do? D-Earth replied skeptically. Truly useless. Jeek then asked, Now that I think about it, where did Sir Alex go? Wait. I haven't seen him this whole time. D-Earth answered in a cold tone. He went ahead to do his job. Jeek replied softly. I see. D-Earth suddenly spoke. Hey, useless. Has your family ever lived this well? Jeek scratched his head in embarrassment and replied shyly. That's an old story, almost a legend now. I don't think we've ever had it this good. As far as my grandfather can remember, we've always been this poor. D-Earth stated bluntly. It seems your family just hasn't worked hard enough. Jeek kept scratching his head and forced a smile. I guess so. Both my grandfather and my father were low-rank heroes. D-Earth inquired, rank, do you guys take a test or something? Jeek answered with a bright smile, it is a test. But the first step is to graduate from the Hero Academy. D-Earth looked surprised and asked, you guys really have an academy? Jeek shared his wish. Yes, I'm definitely going to send my younger siblings there. D-Earth asked curiously, must be expensive. Jeek hesitated. Yes. D-Earth said bluntly, the people at Hero Management are all shrewd businessmen. They sell people's futures and make you dependent on them. As they were walking, D-Earth suddenly stopped. He called out, hey, useless! Jeek rubbed his head shyly and answered, yes. D-Earth's voice suddenly became very serious. You realize that what we're doing right now is far from heroic, don't you? Sneaking into a hero family's home to steal information and then expose them. Are you really okay with that, even though you're a hero just like them, albeit a slightly different kind? Jeek. Without a moment's hesitation, Jeek immediately shared his thoughts. I know it's a crime, but I realized something after meeting Sir Solus. Sir D-Earth, you are truly a righteous person. We may be thieves right now, but in reality, we're hunting down criminals who are trying to monopolize important resources. Resources for heroes, right? At first, I was very surprised by your actions, but now I understand. Sir D-Earth, you already knew Sir Solus's true nature. That's why you acted that way on purpose. To make him reveal his true feelings right. Those words of praise made D-Earth's face suddenly turn red with embarrassment. I wasn't thinking that far ahead. But you can think whatever you want, Jeek continued. Also, Sir D-Earth, do you remember what you said to me when we first met? This is an opportunity. To be honest, even though I couldn't say it, I had almost given up on becoming a hero. How could someone like me become a hero? Even though this isn't the ideal situation I dreamed of, I even got to meet a D-rank hero. Something I never even imagined. And getting a good shield was all thanks to you, Sir D-Earth. I know full well I haven't done anything to deserve all this. Stealing, I just need my little siblings to grow up well. I want to make sure that at the very least, those kids won't be called failures. I'll make sure no one has to inherit this damn poverty. I'll make sure to raise them as heroes, even if they won't be on the front lines for the 666th battle against the Demon King in 25 years. At least they'll be able to join the fight. Supporting from the rear, then I'll be able to hang up a picture of my siblings fighting valiantly, just like the painting we saw in your room, sir. And it will be passed down from generation to generation as a family heirloom for the Solit family. The Holy Beat family participated in the 666th battle against the Demon King in a support role. And so, the Holy Beat family helped defeat the Demon King for the 666th time and lived happily ever after. Forever. Deus, looking curious, suddenly asked, and what about you? What have you wanted to do since the day you were born? What do you want to become? How do you want to live? Don't you have thoughts like that? If you've sacrificed your one and only life for your family and your lineage, are you really satisfied with just that? Zeke suddenly clenched his fists, which trembled uncontrollably as if to steel his resolve. He smiled faintly and then declared firmly, emphasizing it once more. That is all I want. I will end the poverty of the Holy Beat family with my own two hands. To do that, I would even make a deal with a demon. Deus's lips curled into a deeply satisfied smirk. He grinned with excitement, looked straight at Zeke, and said, It seems I chose the right person. All right then, let's see what kind of ending awaits at the very bottom of hell. Alex. Alex immediately appeared, landing on a nearby street lamp and bowing his head slightly as he replied. Yes, master. Zeke jumped in alarm, calling out, Sir Alex. Alex reported the situation. I've found them. Let's go. To the secret room of these bastards. Deuce smirked with relish. You found it. Alex smiled faintly and replied, Yes, sir. I also found a list of their member clans. Hearing this, Zeke's expression turned gloomy and sad. Most of them are clans that have appeared in textbooks. How can this be? Deus spoke up, asking, And the location of the dragons? Alex replied clearly, Young master, your guess was correct. It's underwater. Hearing this, Zeke jumped in shock. Underwater? Deus gave the order without a moment's hesitation. All right, let's get to it. Alex raised his hand and deployed his magic. Yes, sir. Instantly transparent water bubbles enveloped Deus's and Zeke's heads to allow them to breathe underwater. Both Deus and Alex quickly ran and leaped into the lake, leaving Zeke bewildered and stunned. He called out in confusion, "Sir Deus!" His face was scrunched up, full of worry and hesitation. Then Zeke rushed straight into the lake with a resounding shout, "Wait for me!" in a flash. His body was completely submerged in the vast deep water. At first he was hesitant, not daring to open his mouth, but then Zeke broke into a radiant smile when he realized he could breathe easily. "I can breathe down here. Is it because of this air bubble?" His eyes suddenly widened in utter shock and astonishment. Zeke froze instantly as if witnessing a horrific sight before him. Rows upon rows of dragons were bound and sealed. Right beneath this lake, Zeke couldn't hide the amazement on his face as he saw faint glimmers of light in their eyes. Meanwhile, Deus and Alex were standing in front of the dragons and were focused on studying a document. Alex spoke up. "Based on the ledgers, it seems that after each scale harvest, they send a healer to care for the dragons. And the story just continues like that. A repeating cycle no different from a factory for harvesting fresh scales. The oldest dragon has been through this for 235 years. That dragon's body is covered in crisscrossing wounds. It looks so pitiful." Zeke's voice suddenly turned heavy with sadness. "This is just beyond imagination." Deus then asked Alex a question. "Do you think the people who support Hatliner products are aware of this?" Alex replied very seriously, "If they are, it wouldn't be surprising. Their motive could stem from deciding they had to do something themselves. Because the saint they worship made no move to address the growing instability," Deus quickly added, "that explains why they implant those strange parasites into themselves to fight humans instead of focusing on their personal grudge against the demon race. It's not hard to understand, is it? If I were in that situation, I'd also try to kill every last dragon." Alex could only remain silent at Deus's pensive, thoughtful expression. Without any hesitation, he immediately approached the body of the dragon in front of him. He quickly reached out to harvest a scale and get this over with. Deus then said firmly, "Do it." Alex gathered all his strength, swinging his arm back for momentum. Then he decisively thrust his hand and clawed into the dragon's flesh. He immediately yanked hard, tearing off a dragon scale and gripping it tightly in his hand. He quickly turned to leave. Now that he had achieved his goal, "Let's go." Just then, Deus suddenly spoke up. "No, that's not right." Alex quickly turned around, stunned and bewildered. He asked, looking puzzled, "So we're not leaving?" Deus muttered under his breath, "It's true." Alex still didn't understand what was happening. "Sir," Deus's eyes suddenly flashed, his face contorting with so much anger that he looked like he was fuming. "This is truly against my will." He then leaped up, launching a powerful kick. In an instant, all the chains binding the dragon snapped apart. Both Alex and Deke were utterly stunned. Then a fierce wave of pressure suddenly washed over them. Alex quickly crossed his arms in front of him to block it. Blinding red lights suddenly appeared, enveloping the entire space as a deafening roar erupted from the dragons. As if stretching and rising, the dragons stirred. Deus's group stood there unflinchingly observing every movement. The creatures roared in unison, a resounding cry of fierce resistance. After being bound for so long, they thrashed about wildly, causing the chains to shatter into pieces. The other dragons also began to struggle violently to break their own shackles. Their roars seemed to tear space itself apart like an overflowing, explosive rage. Alex watched from a distance, a calm, faint smile on his face. Just then, the surface of the water suddenly began to churn. It trembled violently, as if something was rocketing up from below. A gigantic dragon suddenly erupted from the lake, pulling towering, churning columns of water with it. The patrol guards' eyes widened in terror at the sight before them. Countless dragons soared into the air, their vast wings spread wide, eclipsing the entire sky. The patrol guards screamed, their mouths agape and their eyes filled with panicked fear. "The dragons! They're free!" One of the dragons suddenly gnashed its teeth. "They're free." 1. Scorching flames suddenly erupted from its mouth. It immediately shot the fire straight down at the mansion, which was engulfed in an inferno in a flash. Bùng cháy một con rồng khác cũng bắt đầu phóng một luồng ma lực khổng lồ xuống bên dưới. Cả dinh thự hung trộn đòn công phá ấy lập tức trở nên vỡ vụn tan nát, không chỉ dừng lại ở đó. The other dragons were also hard at work, destroying every nook and cranny of the vast estate. Horrifying explosions erupted continuously, brutally incinerating the entire area. Another dragon swooped by its wings, spreading giant shards of ice that fell with a desolate, cold air. Meanwhile, Jake quickly followed Deus, ashore, sopping wet. Deus and Alex also landed, looking completely calm and composed. Alex's face suddenly filled with alarm as he exclaimed, "Why did you suddenly let them go?" Deus hesitated. Well, suddenly the face of that idiot Solo popped into my head, and it just really pissed me off. Alex shot back annoyed. "Didn't you say you weren't going to do anything but take the item?" Deus replied with utter nonchalance. "Beats me. I didn't touch any of the beastmen, so what's the big deal?" Alex immediately shot back. "It is a big deal. You need to take responsibility for this." Deke silently gazed at the chaotic, desolate scene before him and thought to himself, if I recall correctly, didn't he say he would carry this out in secret? Meanwhile, Alex was still arguing angrily with Deus. "So, what are you going to do now?" "People are going to be spreading rumors like wildfire, you'll see," Deus replied nonchalantly. "Well then, we can just kill everyone. Problem solved." Deke quickly spoke up as he saw the situation growing tense. "Sir Deus," but Alex, still scowling, shouted, "Then why did we even bother disguising ourselves?" Vaziat clenched his teeth. His eyes flashed, filled with rage. "These damn beasts!" He stared intently at Deus, his mind racing in confusion. White hair. The anger inside him seemed to be reaching its peak. He's here too. Salute also appeared suddenly, his face a mask of extreme fury. He gritted his teeth in anger and roared, "My castle, how dare you do this to the Holy H family?" His eyes suddenly flashed with a cold, sharp light as he spotted something below. What caught Solute's eye was the face of Jeek, who was engrossed in conversation. The masked hero. Vaziat roared furiously, "You bastard!" Deus's group immediately looked up in the direction of the resounding voice. Then Deus cracked a smug smile. He glanced at Vaziat and cheerfully warned, "Well, hello. Don't you dare touch me. This time I will kill you." Vaziat's eyes flashed as he opened his mouth wide and screamed, "You son of a bitch!" Salute, unable to contain his anger, also roared, "Masked hero, I've been waiting for you." Jeek immediately put his hands on his face. He pleaded desperately with a terrified expression, "Please spare me." Vaziat and Solute quickly leaped into action, pushing off forcefully and launching themselves forward without a moment's hesitation. They both vaulted into the air, their swords at the ready. Their blades gleamed under the late-night moonlight. Vaziat and Solute charged forward at incredible speed, their eyes filled with hatred as they roared in a frenzy. A dragon suddenly thrashed about, biting through its chain. It roared and shot toward the two of them with its razor-sharp teeth, and in a flash, it lunged forward like a bullet, tearing and crushing the bodies of both Vaziat and Solute. Immediately after, it soared into the sky, whipping up a torrential gale. Deus quickly raised both hands and said, "I didn't lay a single finger on them, you know." Alex replied, "Yes." Deke, however, was completely stunned by what he had just witnessed. "He's gone." Alex immediately suggested, "All right then, let's use this chaos to make a run for it." Deuce and Deke raised their hands and replied in unison, "Agreed." Meanwhile, at the crumbling ruined mansion, the agonizing screams of people continued to echo. "Run, somebody save me." In the end, the only two witnesses who saw Deus's group were also dead. Afterward, the history books would simply state that the reason for the Holiatia family's fall was unknown. The sun had just risen, its rays gently filtering through the window. Deke groggily woke up, a bit of drool still on his mouth. "It's morning already. I said that starting today. I'd focus on the shop, so I have to open up quickly before Sir Deus arrives." He quickly walked over and reached for the doorknob. He froze in shock. He saw a massive crowd of people lined up, their excited whispers creating a deafening buzz. "Is this the weapon shop with weapons forged by Dragon's Breath? I told you the best shops are always out in the countryside. Someone go wake up the owner. When is this place going to open? Hey, don't push. Don't cut in line. What's your hero rank? It's open. Why is it taking so long? It's open. Let's go in. I've been waiting here since dawn." Deke's face beamed with an excited smile. Hello and welcome to Devil's Weapon Shop. After that, customers flooded into the store to buy weapons. How much for these 2 swords? Deke replied enthusiastically, that will be 7 gold and 87 silver total. Weapon after weapon sold out in an instant. I'll take this one. Rike gently replied, this one is 2 gold and 13 silver. The shop was so packed with customers there was barely any room to move. See, the color is a little different, right? I've never seen a dagger in this style before. Where are the shields? Hey kid, how much is this? Reek was constantly dealing with customers with no time to rest. That one is 8 gold and 7 silver. Thank you, sir. Alex also jumped in to help Reek with the sales. That divine hairpin really matches the color of your cloak, milady. We're having a buy 2 get 1 free promotion. Would you like me to wrap it up for you? The girls, mesmerized by Alex's radiance, immediately sealed the deal. Yes, please. Deote sat upstairs watching the store's smooth business operations. His face was blank as he muttered, business seems to be going well. Then he suddenly sighed with utter boredom and weariness. Deote watched the people bustling about in the store and thought to himself, I thought I'd be more excited, since humanity loves making money. But it turns out this is even less interesting than I expected. Suddenly he called out, hey, I'm going upstairs to sleep. Reek's voice called back, all right then. Deote then went into his room feeling completely unenthusiastic. His room on the 2nd floor of the shop was incredibly luxurious. Deote slowly walked inside. He immediately threw himself onto the bed with a pleased smile. So soft. Getting rich is nothing special after all. Sleeping is still the best. A soft golden light began to spread. The golden dragon's voice echoed softly, Demiorgos. Deote thought in surprise. A dragon, Deote then asked aloud, you're here. The golden dragon replied gently, yes, you're always sleeping, aren't you? It must be nice to be so carefree. Deote smiled and said, you saw everything that happened with Holy Asia yesterday. Didn't you? The list of the families involved is on the table. Take it. The golden dragon's eyes suddenly lit up with a sinister glint. We saw everything from beginning to end. They have clearly violated the peace treaty between our 2 races. Red sparks suddenly flashed in Deote's eyes. So now that we're going to war with humanity, the golden dragon slowly interjected. For whose benefit? Deo quickly closed his eyes, turned to his side, and replied dismissively, I don't care as long as Connie gets paid. The golden dragon quickly offered, I will pay you. Deote suddenly stared at her and said, this isn't something that can be finished in a year or 2. You know that. Hearing this, the golden dragon could only remain silent, saying nothing. Deote then asked, maintaining a peace treaty is difficult. You know that, don't you? So when you found out the truth within the Holy Ashia clan, you must have been furious, the god of the dragons. Yet you didn't intervene. That's why you came to us to solve the problem. Isn't that right? The golden dragon replied with a very firm tone. Not exactly. The hero families spread a mycelium that poisoned the dragons, causing them to attack humans. That was their pretext to attack. That's the reason dragons attacked humans and are now being hunted to extinction. Deote expressed his doubt. And how do the dragons plan to fight back? The golden dragon's tone at this moment namely became incredibly serious. We have our pride. Rather than stooping to their level, we will attack them head-on, until the very last of us falls. To avenge the loss of a friend, a lover, or a family member, would we use other friends, lovers, or family members for that revenge? Come to think of it, their actions don't make any sense. Deote's eyes widened with an extremely tense expression. The golden dragon's face also filled with rage. Just as I thought, that mycelium is very strange. There's no way humans could create something like that. A curse so terrifying and bizarre. Who put that filthy weapon into the hands of the hero families? Someone is exploiting the anger of my children and the hero families for their own gain. Deote grabbed the golden dragon's face and said in a harsh warning tone, Hey, everyone knows the young dragons in your clan love to go out and cause trouble. Except for their parents, of course. So tell me who's going to believe they were framed. You dragons are only good at causing trouble for this continent. You, what's wrong with you? Just call them back here. Give each of them a good beating and the problem solved. Why bother other people? She unconsciously blurted out, But but he immediately cut her off, tiredly trying to escape the conversation. Oh, forget it. I'm crawling back into my egg. Commandments, precepts. Why do you people have to make everything so complicated? Do you have some kind of complexity disease? Don't you get a headache from living under such a rigid system all the time? Let's just break the rules and live in peace. Look at me. I live so freely and comfortably, no one can do a thing to me. Suddenly, Kim Long laughed cheerfully, which confused Diot. A demon king telling me to live my days in peace. You're the worst. Diot instinctively turned to her. Just leave me alone. Why don't you all use your heads for a second? If we just gather a horde and attack the humans, how could we possibly lose? Kim Long flatly refused. Impossible. It's all because of the humans' bloodline. We can't defeat them. Diot sat up and smirked. Oh, and why is that? Why do you and Alex both get so worked up whenever that bloodline is mentioned? Kim Long sighed and said again, you didn't witness that day. Right now, they're nothing but small fry soldiers. But when that day comes, the day you are destined to descend upon the human world to invade it, you will see their true strength. With the aura of 10 crosses at their backs, they will rise up in defiance. No matter how hard you crush them, they'll fall with smiles on their faces, only to get back up again and again right when you think you've won. A new bloodline awakens, and the counterattack begins anew, over and over like moths to a flame called the Demon King. The real problem is that those moths are endless. Kim Long looked up at the sky. You'll even feel fear. You'll fear their courage. Humanity's faith in the final hero. That will be the great enemy you must face in another 25 years. Kim Long's voice suddenly grew heavy. At that time, you won't be fighting humans. You'll be fighting against infinite courage that has helped humanity triumph for over 66,585 years. After hearing this, Diot turned away and chuckled, much to Kim Long's surprise. The thought of me fighting Reiki. That's hilarious. But wait a minute. Why don't I just kill off the 3rd and 4th generations now? The final hero is supposed to be born in the 100th year, right? If we attack now and kill the 3rd generation, the final hero can't be born and will win. Diot's expression became urgent. If not that, then we just wait another 35 years. Wait until the final hero dies of old age. That'll work, right? Why does it have to be exactly 100 years anyway? You idiot, Kim Long snapped, his voice rising in frustration. Why are you asking me? You're the Demon King. You're the one who's supposed to make the decisions. He shrugged, looking innocent. How should I know? We've just been doing it this way since we were born, so I figured there must be a special reason for it. When I ask, everyone just says they don't know, that this is just how it's always been. She crossed her arms, thinking along with Diot. It sounds like there must be a special reason then. He unconsciously asked a question. Why do we have to fight? What even is a demon? What's a hero? Kim Long raised an eyebrow, as if looking at some strange creature. What kind of nonsense question is that? Don't you think this world is strange? The demon race has been living in the demon world for nearly 75 years, and we've been just fine. We could just keep living there. Why waste all this energy trying to invade the human world? Because the human world is blessed, while the demon world is cursed. Diot immediately shot back. If God only blessed the human world, then why create the demon world in the first place? If he hadn't, then we wouldn't have to be fighting and killing each other like this. Kim Long paused for a few seconds. Now that you mention it, but I'm sure he has his own reasons. He shrugged again. What kind of reasons? And what is this God anyway? She asked, her eyes widening with excitement. What do you mean by that? God is the absolute entity who created everything. Diot pressed on, his voice rising with curiosity. Then why does he let us slaughter each other? Kim Long immediately lunged closer, his tone annoyed. I don't know the reason. Maybe he's having a midlife crisis in his 80s, or maybe he's just insane. He fell back onto the bed, mouth agape. This is giving me a headache. Am I the only one who finds this whole thing strange? Kim Long gently reminded him once more. It's because you're a foolish demon king. Diot turned away, dismissive. Whatever. If you don't want to get beaten up by a fool, you should get out of here. I want to sleep. She chuckled again, making him look up. I was feeling pretty down, but listening to your nonsense has actually cheered me up a little. Looking at you makes me wonder what the meaning of all this really is. Diot coldly dismissed them. Visiting hours are over. Please leave. Kim Long silently lowered his head, looking at him. I have one final request before I leave. Please find the one who gave those pharmaceuticals to the humans, the one who's poisoning our children. Diot let out a huge sleepy yawn. Hey now! That's a top-level secret among the human leadership. If even you, a divine dragon, can't find them, then how are we supposed to find him? She gently suggested that perhaps the demon duke accompanying you might know. In the 540th Great War over 15 years ago, one of the demon dukes captured hundreds of dragons, causing a genocide that nearly drove the dragons of this world to extinction. The legendary strategist Duke Alex. Hearing this, Dee glanced back in surprise as he quickly recalled everything. What do you take me for, my lord? I am the greatest strategist in the demon world. Dee was skeptical, so he was telling the truth. The golden dragon continued with her last few words before departing. He can easily invade the minds of others. I'm leaving now. Just as she was about to step away, she stopped, and the golden dragon quickly spoke up. Perhaps you're right. This world is truly strange. After that, the golden dragon descended into a deep pit and vanished. Alex suddenly rushed out and announced, Master, we're in big trouble. Dee yelled angrily, Damn it, I was just about to go to sleep. He held out a strange object. Look at this, my lord. It's called a hell scarecrow mushroom. After researching the mycelium in the dragon's bodies, I found this. This thing's mind control effect has been amplified 1,000 times. Dee gritted his teeth, looking like he wanted to kill his subordinate. Yeah, so, what? Alex reminded him innocently. It's a type of mushroom that only grows in our demon world, and there's only one person who can freely manipulate this thing. One of the 7 dukes, the incarnation of plague and poison, the Plague King Dazot. At that moment, Alex's eyes gleamed. He asked in a low voice, Should we cover this up? Losing his patience, Dee lunged at him, his face flushed with anger. Do you really think you can handle that? He's a 1,000-year-old dragon who caused all that chaos. Alex calmly corrected him. To be precise, he's a dragon over 6,658 years old. Dee couldn't help but curse in frustration. Damn it! So in the end, the culprit was one of us. There's no proof that we're the ones behind it, Alex explained nervously. You need to understand the mycelium that drove the dragons mad belongs to Dazot. He didn't spread it, though. Dee nodded dismissively. Of course it was the demons. Who else but us would benefit from a civil war between humans and dragons? Tromoetit. Hearing this, Alex's eyes suddenly widened in shock. Civil war? Annoyed by his indifferent attitude, Dee pointed a finger and screamed frantically, Don't you realize you're the one who started the Civil War? I heard you're an expert at causing internal conflicts. Alex was confused. Huh, how absurd. He then gave a wry smile and continued, I have a high-class, elegant style that uses psychology. I don't use some sticky damp mushroom or this mycelium stuff. Besides, if it were me, wouldn't I have told you already, my lord? Hearing this, Dee suddenly calmed down. That's true. He tilted his head and continued to question, but why would you do it? Alex's face immediately became flustered. He mumbled, confused. Dee patiently repeated, using the mycelium to make the humans attack. Why? Alex grew so tense that he started sweating bullets. He glanced away and asked back, Didn't you already say why, my lord? To make the humans and dragons fight each other. At this, Dee tilted his head, raising an eyebrow at him, then refuted in a low voice, No. If you wanted to make them attack each other, you should have used poison or a curse things that humans often use. A little investigation would be enough to know this action, and it was definitely the work of demons. You know Dazot, the golden divine dragon, don't you? You recognized him immediately the first time we met, didn't you? Alex's gaze began to sharpen. He nodded in agreement. Of course. How many times over the past 665 centuries have we fought face-to-face with humankind on the front lines? Dee remained silent, his eyes filled with complex emotions. He rested his chin on his hand and mumbled to himself. Right. Something's not right. There's definitely still a hidden twist here. Finally, Dee clenched his fists in anger. He gritted his teeth and decided, Fine, let's just summon Dazot. It's time to use the Demon King's torture techniques we learned as children. Just then, Alex spoke up again. I went to Dazot's workshop. I've searched all over the demon world, but there's not a single trace of him. He's missing. Hearing this, D became even more frantic. He roared, "What the hell? I just want to live a quiet, restrained life, but all of this is making me lose control." Then he went limp like a dried-up corpse. "This is insane. Why did you have to find that useless thing?" "Because of you, I'm ruined," Alex retorted, flustered. But, I only wanted to help you, my lord, but to ruin you." His expression suddenly became deep and mysterious. Alex wondered to himself, what about the Grand Duke? The only one who can move Dazot, one of the 7 dukes, is you, my lord. At that moment, his pupils constricted as if he couldn't believe his own thoughts. Alex thought in confusion, could it be that my lord is the one behind all this? Nearby D-Earth was still in a daze. My Lola, it's ruined. Alex gritted his teeth, thinking. Come to think of it, his lordship stirred up the dragon-hunting gangs yesterday and made even the veteran first-class heroes tremble. His lordship also gave the guild list to the Golden Divine Dragon to break the peace treaty, but surely by giving her proof that humans were hunting dragons. Even if the peace treaty were to continue, Heartliner wouldn't just sit idly by. In the end, the relationship between demons, humans, and dragons will collapse for the first time in history. A 3-way war between demons, humans, and dragons will break out. At that moment, Alex suddenly collapsed onto the floor, mumbling in horror. What a grand plan! His face went pale, unable to believe his own thoughts. Such an overwhelmingly grand plan. Come to think of it, even if we were caught now, we could never reveal that our Lord was behind it all. On the contrary, my Lord and I would be recorded in the divine annals for preventing the war between humans and dragons. At this, Alex's eyes suddenly widened in speculation. Could it be? D-Earth, sensing his strange gaze, was utterly confused. Alex continued his train of thought. He planned all of this. It must be. Otherwise, why would he have abandoned his throne? He recalled that scene with D-Earth. Looking back, he had raised his hand and asked, "What are those flying flower petals?" The previous demon kings would never have paid attention to something like that, would they? It's amazing to be on the surface. As he finished speaking, his face immediately turned ashen, his crimson eyes becoming bloodshot. Recalling the question in his heart, Alex had always known that he longed for the surface more than any king before him. Back then, he had asked, "Why did you abandon us?" However, D-Earth just tilted his head and replied, "Didn't I already tell you?" Then he let out a mysterious laugh. "For no reason at all," Alex mused. He was always so vague about why he left the Demon King's throne. At that moment, he sank to his knees, mumbling in his mind, "My true lord, Alex, I was so foolish. I've been played." With a grave expression, Alex called out, "My lord." D-Earth was completely baffled by this display. Alex slowly began to explain, "I, Alex, have been truly blind. Only now can I see the beautiful grand picture that my lord has painted, and to have such a foolish servant under you like this. That must be why you kept it a secret from me." The more D-Earth listened, the less he understood. His face went blank as he wondered, did he take the wrong medicine or something? "Why is he suddenly talking nonsense?" Alex continued in a firm voice. "Although it is late, if you still trust me, I will do my utmost to cover this up." By now, D-Earth was so confused he broke out in a cold sweat. He thought to himself, "I have no idea what the hell he's talking about, but I'll just play along for now. If he can do it, all the better." Then he put on an angry face. "Right, you fool. I'm glad you finally understand. I was about to cough up blood from all the frustration." D-Earth pointed towards the door. "To atone for your mistake, go and cover it up right now." The gullible Alex heard this and immediately ran off. "Yes, my lord, don't you worry." Finally, D-Earth thought to himself, "All right, I'm going to bed." But in that very moment, D-Earth suddenly called out to Alex. He hesitated, his expression unreadable. "By the way, do gods really exist?" Alex was cautious for a long moment before replying, "Of course. Why do you suddenly ask, my lord?" D-Earth looked away and stammered, "It's just, they're always talking about rules and whatnot, but they don't seem to care at all whether a demon king wants to be the demon king or not." At this, Alex laughed cheerfully. "I'm sure they are watching over everything. Gods really do exist at that moment." He finished with a sentence that startled D-Earth. "I've seen them before." As he finished speaking, the air immediately fell silent. D-Earth let out a soft, "Oh." What did they look like? The question made Alex hum for a moment. Then he rested his chin on his hand, his eyes glancing up as he recalled, "I'm not sure. I only caught a glimpse of them from a distance." As he finished, D-Earth clenched his fist and yelled right in his face, "You idiot! You made me worry over nothing! Go to sleep! Go to sleep!" Alex backed away in fear. Yes. Finally, he hurriedly ran into the spatial gate. "Well then, sleep well, my lord." A few minutes after Alex had left, D-Earth wearily dropped his head onto the pillow. His expression was deeply troubled, with a storm of stray thoughts in his mind. D-Earth's eyes also held an unreadable complexity. He pondered to himself. So, to summarize, first, the most logical hypothesis is that Heartliner joined forces with Dazat to incite a war with the humans. The Golden Divine Dragon tried to stop it, and as a result, we ended up on Zangam's side. But in that case, the Golden Divine Dragon would think Dazat and Heartliner are using this to make us the target. Someone is exploiting the dragon's anger.